Welcome to the Nick and Matt Show, bringing the player interviews you want to hear and the hot topics you want to discuss. Recording live in studio, here's Nick and Matt.
What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to our Monday night show of the Nick and Matt Show. This is episode 159, presented by Cosmic Disc Golf. Really quick about Cosmic Disc Golf. They will be down at the USDGC in the Vendor Village Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So if you're going to USDGC to hang out, tell them hi from the Nick and Matt Show. You heard that they were going to be down there from us. They're awesome supporters of the show. Also, you can check them out at cosmicdg.com. for all of your Cosmic needs. They did a ton of awesome stuff over at the MVP Open this year. I'm sure they have a ton of fun stuff planned for USDGC. Like I said, though, check them out Friday, Saturday, Sunday at the Vendor Village. Matt, episode 159. How you doing? Hot takes last week by you.
Yeah, let's get to that. Evan, you're here. Evan Kearns, Statman to everybody. Welcome to the show.
What's going on?
I saw you on purpose. I'm like, he's taking a drink. Switch to him now.
Yeah, perfect timing. But I got the sip in just as he switched
Yes,
over.
you did. And also a reminder, Disc Golf Pins. If you visit their website, you can get the Nick and Matt Show first to run. That's what we should have called them. Or protos.
Yeah.
Like, apparently you get a lot of money calling something a prototype.
So,
Actually, right up behind me, you
prototype.
can't see it on the wall, but there's a expensive disc right there.
Yeah. Limited
It's the
stand.
Leicester, Mass proto time lapse.
Yep.
Okay.
you know, I will say I got the most likes when you were posting about, how much are people willing to pay? And I said, I'll let you call it the Matt and Nick Show. I got
give
the
it to
most
you.
likes. I thought that was very
Here you go,
worthy
Nick.
of
Here you go.
getting the disc.
Well, it's that really what you want? Okay. Yeah. So Disc Golf Pins, check them out. It's a pre-sale and get that first run because we've got other ideas coming up for that as well. Yeah, hot takes. Well, it's interesting because as I got onto my plane flight last week, so for those who listened last week, you heard me not running, but I was walking through Detroit's airport. If you've ever done that, it's a long terminal, like one terminal from like 1 all the way to like 78, like all in a row. And so I was on those like moving sidewalks. I'm like join the show and I make it to my gate. I think someone was upset at me, and not because of the moving sidewalk, but they were just like, what are you doing? And I'm like, hey, I'm live here. Like, it was just, anyways. So I'm trying to bring like coherent like thought to what I was saying. And I think what ended up happening was I was sharing without having processed really why I was having the feelings of boredom. And so having gone through a week of like reflecting, we were on the party podcast. Nick and me were on the party podcast last night. Shout out Hannah and Christine doing really cool things there. And of course I get asked that question, or we get asked that question, like about like, hey, is it good for the sport or is it boring? I saw over on Foundation's channel, they had a YouTube video, whether or not it was from my take or other people had it. Like, is this good for the sport or is it boring? And then, where else did I see that? I posted it up to you guys. There was another question where that got asked. And I'm like, man, so the fact that we're asking the question is either because people are feeling bored or because we just need like takes, right?
Yeah.
And I'll be genuinely honest. After processing this, I don't think I was bored by the competition leading up to Evan. That the first 3 rounds were like actually the best. But the problem is the final round of any event is like the most like exciting usually. That's the one where you put everything in. It almost doesn't matter what happened the first 3 rounds. And I watched Kristen underperform. That's already said. And I watched that. And then I watch her walk it in at the end. And I just feel like the excitement of the moment, what you guys at Statmando write and provide to the Disc Golf Pro Tour of like how big this was, her emotions didn't match it. And her gameplay didn't seem to match it in that round. It was just thrown off to me. So I want to be clear. I don't think FPO is boring. Some people wanted to make that take that Matt's like anti-FPO. I just don't love seeing walk-in wins where they're just kind of like, hey, like I already knew I was winning, or it makes it feel like they're bored by winning. Now, to be clear, this isn't about Kristen. Kristen's personality and the way that she wins, if you will. Nick, you mentioned this last night on the party podcast, like with grace, like that's hers to do. She also can't control her competition. Like if she's blowing people out of the water, if she wins all the time, that has nothing to do with it either. Anybody in her situation walking in as many wins as she has at the end of it is going to be boring to me. It's not even a take. It's not like FPO is boring. That's not my take. My take is I was bored following that win. It was like, man, the moment that she just had didn't seem to match the expression of what we watched. That was my reaction. And quite frankly, didn't anybody want to see Henna win that? And if there was anybody rooting for that moment of like, Henna, this is your time, and then watching that fall off, like there was a lot of feelings that happened. So you can't take anything away from Kristen. Again, plain and simple, I just think it's more exciting to watch a close game. That's what I was reacting to. And then in that round specifically, it was hard to tell if it was her dominance or her competitors' poor performances. And to make a take that, well, even if Kristen plays bad, she wins, it just feels like that. We don't want that for the sport. So that doesn't take away from her win. But again, it just came back to my actual feelings. And I don't try to sugarcoat anything here. Like, I won't throw anybody else under the bus, but like, we don't want to say things that inflammatory, but like, it was legit. I was like, man, I was kind of bored after that moment. Take a big zooming away picture. And I think, Evan, you set this up. Maybe it was last week and I had to get on my plane. If you zoom away and you look at like what's happening, like in the sport, it's actually incredibly impressive. And my take or my opinion was not with that perspective. So when you zoom back, you're like, look at what she's doing. It's massive. And so with that, congratulations to Kristen. That is my take. Congratulations.
I think one of the other
just
things, bringing
another perspective. That's all.
Yeah. And I think kind of to go on that for a little bit more before we have Jeff Spring in, he actually will be in just a couple of minutes. Matt and I were on the, by the way, I'm Nick. That is Matt. I think some people commenting get us confused where like someone said that I said FPO was boring. And I was like, I don't think I've ever said that.
Just look at the logo.
Yeah. So anyways, Nick, Matt, nice to meet you all. So one of the things we did the party podcast last night with Hannah because Christina's out traveling right now. And so we actually got to talk a lot more about this take, a lot more about FPO in general. And I think just talking about it, you do understand what kind of Matt's mindset is with this, my mindset, Hannah's mindset, all these different people, just by talking about it. And one of the things that Hannah had mentioned and Matt just did a little bit ago is Kristen, you know, she even said it in her post-round interview, is that she didn't play great. She didn't feel like she played great. She didn't put on the show that she feels like she should have been able to put on, but also a couple of the other ladies did not play great as well, which it ended up being Kristen could get the win with it. So you can be disappointed after a win by how you played. I mean, these players are athletes. They are spectacles there for kind of our enjoyment in a sense of they're playing the sport that we love to watch. And so, yeah, it's a little, you know, tough sometimes when you don't feel like you performed your absolute best and you didn't put on the show that maybe you want to. But
I think she might have been bored with her performance.
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
Yeah, but hey, look, a win's a win, and absolutely, she got the grand slam. It's incredible.
Exactly. That's the zoomed out perspective. Thank you guys for letting me get that in. Obviously, I joined for a little bit and had to jump. I listened to your whole episode. You guys don't even need me anymore. It's nice to sit back. Maybe I can take vacation and let you guys run it more often. I do want to address someone who says,
I call the next vacation.
Matt, did you find it boring when Tom Brady was going to the Super Bowl? We talked about this.
We did.
There was actually times where I said yes to that, but this is also apples and oranges. That's a team sport. Like, I know we like to give Tom Brady a lot of credit, best quarterback ever, but that's a team sport. If you look at individual, I'm thinking of the bicyclist. Is that Armstrong? Like, there's times and places where you're like, come on, like you've done it so much, or like it's not even exciting. Someone said it's happening right now with F1. This is not to take away their moment. If I was to celebrate with them, I would do that. This is a podcast where we talk all different perspectives, and I wanted to bring. I said, man, this was a feeling I had. I can either sit quietly and say, hey, this was amazing, or I can say how I was feeling. That's it. All right, moving on. Jeff Spring is not logged into our green room yet. I'm assuming any minute. He did ask to be on the earlier side tonight. So,
well, when he does come on, we'll go right into it. But Evan.
Yes.
Celtics trading away my favorite players on the team to get players that I don't even like.
Wait,
what is going on?
Players?
Dude, Marcus Smart was a baller. Rob
okay,
Williams
from way
Williams,
earlier.
Dude,
okay,
Time
way
Lord,
earlier this offseason.
Time Lord, one of the best. One of the
Time
most
Lord's an
fun
interesting
players.
one.
I know.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's purely an injury decision. You know,
I hear you. Yeah,
he's not very good at staying on the court, as in like. That kind of makes it sound within the game, but I think people know what I mean. Like staying healthy.
Exactly.
That's been something he struggled with. So it's tough when you have those players and you're counting on him to win championships, and then he's out for the Eastern Conference Finals, like, or comes back game 6, whatever it was, I forget.
Yeah.
So I think these are like they're not like sexy trades, you know, like that's kind of been what's going on. It's like filling in. And now that I think about it more, I just said the injury thing. I mean, we traded for Kristaps Porzingis, but people are gonna be like, he's injured.
Yeah.
I saw something where he's played more games than Damian Lillard in like the last 3 or 4 seasons, something like that. So obviously Damian Lillard being the big trade over to the Bucks.
Trade over to the Bucks.
Yeah. And you know what? Here's my prediction. It's like the Eastern Conference feels like everything's leaning towards the Bucks and the Celtics, and it's like I heard like it's the Cold War, you know, it's US versus Russia.
Don't worry, trust the process from the 76ers though. Get that crap out of here. Stop with the whole trust the process. That process failed.
Yeah, my one like NBA hot take for the day is like the Eastern Conference Finals is not going to be Celtics versus Bucks. My personal hope it's Celtics versus someone else, but it could be Bucks versus someone else. So
no, it'll be Celtics versus someone else.
It's not going to be as obvious as people think. I mean, NBA is exciting. You know, Heat are still a good team. All that.
Exactly. Going to cut you off now though, because Matt, I do see in our virtual green room we do have the man of the hour, Jeff Spring. Matt, if you would like to do the introduction.
Very cool. Is it okay to say friend of the show? I'm sure it is.
Friend of the show.
We can say whatever we want until he's on. Okay.
Great ambassador of the sport.
Friend of the show, Jeff Spring, CEO, and so much more at the Disc Golf Pro Tour. It looks like we've got him muted, but looks okay. Good. How are you doing, Jeff?
Good. How you guys doing?
We are doing great. Just hanging out on a beautiful Monday night, ready to talk some disc golf right after we were just talking about the Celtics a little bit. Big news happening in the basketball world. I'm excited for basketball to start again, but I think some even more major news. $40,000 is going to first place in the FPO division and the MPO division at the Disc Golf Pro Tour Championships. That's insane. $40,000 is a lot of freaking money to play disc golf for 4 days straight. Talk to us just how that came about and what did you guys have to do to get to this insane margin?
Yeah, well, as you know, we kind of pride ourselves on really making the Tour Championship the big moment at the end of the year. A large part of that was definitely due to like record purses through the years. So we were pretty close. And thanks to our friends at Barbasol and the great support of our partners, we were happy to get over the finish line there and deliver, kind of biggest ever single payout for the MPO and FPO winner ever of $40K in PDGA history. And then of course the 322. So it's exciting. I want to thank all of our partners, all of our sponsors of the tour all year long for allowing us to reach this height at the end of the year. It's been a hard year. And as you guys know, the COVID boom has subsided in the industry. While we see continued growth, it's not as at quite the rapid rate. So, it just shows that the professional side's still growing fast. We're still doing the right things and we're really proud.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Nick and I were talking prior to the show, $40,000 for the average person. If they had like a not good year and they got a $40,000 payout, they're like, oh, I can like scrap the year. Like, it's like I can scrape by. If you are a disc golfer, an average disc golfer, and you made nothing, but you got $40,000, you had a very successful year. And I think having that tied to one event is incredible. I've said this from day one of the championship being announced back in the day. If you were going to put like a importance level on that, it was going to be through money, because it was hard to just like establish like, hey, this is a big deal. But when you put money behind it, players now are like, this is worth something. So is that, I mean, that's the full intention of this event, is to make the tour worth something?
Not just that. I mean, I think the tour is extremely valuable throughout the year, every stage of it, every event of it, but it certainly puts the emphasis on the point series. It puts the emphasis on sustained performance throughout the year, getting you an advantage. And you're right. I think because we want to show the advantage that people earn throughout the year, it's important to, have a unique format that's not as conducive to, maybe a standard event that is a major. So, the standout factor here is the cash, is the added cash and everything you're working for all season. So, we're changing the format this year. We've got 2 rounds, 2 rounds in the semifinals and then 2 rounds in the finals. And so we've got a new starting strokes element to the semifinals, where if you're the number 1 seed in MPO, you've earned 6 strokes all the way down, kind of as a gradient to, even par is where you start if you just squeaked in. And it's 5 strokes on the FPO side. So maybe you guys have discussed that in the past, but we think it's going to be a really exciting semis. This is also about learning and experimentation and trying to find that perfect formula. So we've been in kind of the 1 round, moving on to the next round. What we heard from players is that they would like to play more rounds. Even the top players felt like sometimes it's a disadvantage. Somebody comes in hot and I'm just starting out my tournament in round 1 and everything's on the line. So, really the top players said it would be more advantageous to go this route. So we're excited to see the results this year. And excited to have some of the biggest stakes in disc golf history to play for.
Absolutely. I'm excited to see how that plays as well. We did talk about this idea last year because, to your point, there were players that felt like they weren't getting a good head start, but they still wanted an advantage. How do we make it work? This is great. Excellent. So the schedule, the North American Disc Golf Pro Tour event schedule was announced this week. I'll just start out by saying, congratulations on pulling something of this massive magnitude together. Like, people trying to schedule one event in a year, let alone trying to organize how they all happen in a tour that's functioning and sustainable, is incredible. So congratulations there to you and your team. There's a lot of questions to be had here, but I'll just start out because we're closest to this. I think, is a wraparound season not a thing anymore? Because I know that was announced last year, like, hey, there are some, but now there's not silver events and all that. So, like, is wraparound season kind of a thing of the past already?
Yeah, it was a 1-year trial. I think the feedback we got was maybe in the future. I think it had its positives and negatives. I think that we're making room for the creation of a farm system. We know that high school and college disc golf is starting to progress, but we need a qualifying tour. And so, I think that the off season has a great potential for great events. And we really are looking forward to announcing plans for qualifying tour for 2024. Cool. And, as with most things that we do when we push the envelope forward, we got to grow into them a little bit. So, just like the Tour Championship the first year, not everybody who qualified actually participated. Now everybody wants, to earn that spot all year. And there's goals for the entire season. Some players' goals are make the Tour Championship. So, we think the same thing will happen with the qualifying tour. We'll put it out there, we'll grow into it. And at some point in the near future, players will be trying to compete to get onto that. But the wraparound, we're going to keep our options open in the future, but not for 2024.
I think one of the other major things that is going on, the All-Star break, and last year started out on the West Coast, and now we're completely flipping coast. We're going to the East Coast this year for the All-Star event and the first event of the Disc Golf Pro Tour season on the Elite Series side of things. What came into the decision with that?
Well, just generally, we've been working with our Players Council more often, and we've been surveying the players a little bit more. And there was a survey about kind of the travel mileage, the number of events, the breaks between events, the distance between all the events. And one thing that stood out was certainly traveling to the West Coast to come back to the East Coast to go back to the West Coast was not the most efficient way to tackle things. We haven't totally solved this, but, I think the Champions Cup, as moving out of that window recently allowed for the possibility to put the event that we've been planning into that starting spot and reduce the number of miles traveled. And we really want to listen to the players. We want to respond to them as a group. There's a lot of strong opinions, and we process all of that, and then generally try to get a sense of where everybody's head's at. So I definitely played into this decision.
Yeah. So again, a lot of things came up with this announcement of schedule because there was quite a few adjustments, things that people and players had become used to seeing, for lack of a better way to put it. One thing that stands out if you browse around social media at all is like people's reaction to the way the map looks. So you see a lot of placeholders on, I guess, east of Kansas City, and then all the way to the west. You go over to mainly California is where you find a few events. You talk about, the players' reactions and how they feel about it. Is there any reason for that specifically? I mean, I know what goes into getting an event. People have to put in the bids for it. But were you guys like, hey, we want to fill these spots, we want to find these good events, put in your bids? Like, are you trying to, or is this strategic on purpose?
No, we want TDs from the Mountain West to step up and say, hey, we can do it. We can run an event. Definitely, we're looking more at geography. We're going to be doing our best to certainly, kind of space out events and not be in the same market as often, or if at all, in the future. But in terms of, recent history, we've been in Utah, we've been in Colorado, we've been in Montana with either match play events or Silver Series events, and I think that there's a bright future for those events, in that region. And we're actively developing some, honestly. So, normally the Silver Series would be announced, or the Silver events would be announced with this schedule, and you would see some more in the Midwest. But I think that since we're delaying the announcement of the qualifying events, it looks maybe a little bit sparser.
Okay.
I would expect to see some qualifying events in that region for those players, and for the touring players. And, I believe, like I just said, for the players, there needs to be a farm system. The same thing for the events, and the Silver Series of, Silver events in the past have served that purpose, partially. And now the qualifying events will, and I think you'll see what's kind of coming down the line. But we definitely want to be there. I think that population metro centers certainly matter to the tour now, in order to sustain growth. Like the big payout that we had, like our minimum purse is 30K, but over half of our events went over 50K added. We had, I think, 5 or 6, maybe more, that was over 70K added if you count the playoff events and such. So this happens because they're in attractive places for spectators to come to, and for all the fans watching on site and online. So when we find venues that can develop and deliver a great spectating experience, it definitely matters for the sustainability of what the players expect, which is good purses and good money to play for, so they can continue their career. So it's quite the formula. And as you noted to start this question, it's a big process. So it takes a big team, and like I said, we got a farm system, and I expect those slots to be filled in the coming years.
Very cool.
So
Hey, I'll
go
hop in
ahead,
here.
Evan. Yeah.
All right. With the talk of the
Hey.
qualifying events, how's it going, Jeff? With the talk of the qualifying events, I know it's still in the works, but is the general plan to have it kind of follow the tour schedule? So as you're moving out west, maybe fill in a qualifying event, or is it going to be kind of, I don't want to say sporadic, but not following the tour? You might have a East Coast event while you guys are over on the West Coast doing OTB Open, for instance.
Yeah, I think that we'll have the majority following the tour, but we're open to regional events that don't align with the map and the tour schedule. So we're working with events that represent kind of both scenarios. And I believe that for folks that are trying to earn their tour card, or tour card holders that are kind of on that edge, may or may not qualify through points, they'll want to maybe hit those events. Whereas if they're assured that, they don't need to worry about their tour card or through qualifying, you might see players, maybe not go to those events. But we've talked to some events, and they're great events that will be qualifying events. We see them as super A tiers, kind of big purses. They want to still attract the big names, and I think that that's going to show us that event is ready to step up when they have some notable players going to their event, and there aren't points on the line. And that's what we're looking for is high quality events, high quality courses. If we can find some of the best courses in the world, we are always interested. So a little bit of both, Evan.
Yeah, and then a little bit related to that is with no longer having silvers on the schedule, there's less events, although there's still a lot, but there are more open weekends. Is there plans to try to maybe fill in those weekends with coverage of maybe, say, qualifying events or Euro tours or other events that can just get live coverage?
Yeah, we've been working really hard on the European plans for next year, and we're getting ready to announce that soon. So I would expect some points events in Europe. We always roll out our schedules in phases. And so, our next phase will be followed up with what events are worth what points, beyond what is evident from our schedule release. So we'll have more to come, I would say. And in terms of a little bit more of the gaps, yes. I mean, a lot of the long drives deserve a week off in between for the touring players, our staff, so on and forth. But there will be opportunities now to do some other fun events that people will be able to tune into. So I expect a robust, viewing opportunity for Disc Golf Network viewers. Actually, it's probably going to be the best season of viewership ever, and we're really excited.
Very cool. This is a short one. You don't need to elaborate much, but is United Series something designation for all these events? Like, or I guess whatever you want to say, but is there a designation already set for these?
Yeah, not yet. We're working on that, and
Okay.
in the near future, we're going to announce the plans for the United Series for 2024. We did put that out in the release, but
Okay.
I'm not sure if it got picked up.
Yeah, well, I guess I didn't pick it up. I apologize. So who knows? I gave congratulations to the team for getting this scheduled to the finish line. I can only, again, imagine what that takes, working with so many other planning teams and big events, established events. Who's a part of that team? You probably mentioned our team, but like, is there anybody that you have as like a role or a position where you guys are working to schedule these and make this happen? Is it just you? Is it you and another person, or like, how are you doing this?
Yeah, so we've got our operations leadership team, which consists of Brian Cole, our operations director, Phil Delone, our assistant tour director, Christine Jennings, who is an operations director, but also an administrative executive in our company, as well as a couple other, Seth Munsey, our director of player performance and health and safety. And then we have Charles McCracken, and the rest of our executive team. Everybody takes a look at it and chimes in. Some people help with the process, some people help with the actual scheduling. But next year we're looking to get even further ahead, so we're going to be putting out time bid guidelines and timing, and we expect to announce earlier. I would say every year we believe we'll be a little bit earlier, and hopefully we'll be back a little bit earlier, maybe end of summer in 2024.
Okay, so it sounds like, again, there's no reason to not trust the established team you have there. That's not where this question is going. But when you see something like Las Vegas missing, you have to believe that there was a lot of discussion around that. You look at other events that aren't on there, and maybe it's not as big of a deal, but you look at a silver event like down that was at North Cove, and you're like, oh, that's not there. And you look at, so you start seeing events missing. So that was obviously, I'm sure, discussion surrounding that. But how does it work with communication and these events? Like, so for instance, you don't have to tell me the inside scoop, but like Steve Dodge, does he already know prior to this announcement, like, hey, I am a playoff event? And does Preserve know I'm already Preserve established before the announcement comes out? Or do they wait? They're like, come on, Pro Tour announcement, we roll the dice, are we back in? Like, is that how it works?
No. Everyone knows. We go through a process of establishing what the framework of the season is going to look like. So this year we definitely had a lot of challenges. And so, part of our structure was, we're going to focus on our best events. We're going to make this transition. We're going to look for a geographically improved travel schedule. And then from that framework, we go through our event rating system, and, we kind of go down the line and let the dates, fall where the events suggest them, and then you put together the pieces of the puzzle, kind of based on weight, historical weight, and performance of events a bit, and historical placement, and then put it all together. And I think that's basically it in a nutshell. But no, we're in constant communication with events, and it's definitely exciting to get everything ready to go, and then hit the send button.
And where that question came from in full transparency, is the Las Vegas Challenge Facebook event page communication said that they were surprised. Now, that doesn't mean they didn't know before, and that's kind of where I was trying to get at. Like, did they find out in the moment, or were they just reacting to their fact that they were surprised at them not having an event, and they waited till the announcement and then they made that post? But obviously there's tough relationships to navigate there.
Well, events come and events go on the tour. We're going to see that type of churn
Hmm.
year in and year out. And, we hope to you see the LVC return to the tour in the future. I think that there's a few differing philosophies, and that's okay. I think that the LVC has an incredible volunteer staff, and we'll certainly, miss them and going out there this year. But hopefully we'll return in the future. But no, nobody was surprised. Maybe surprised that it didn't come to fruition and work out.
Right.
But we understand that everybody has their take at what the biggest events in the world should look like, and what the disc golf pro tour and event relationship should be. And sometimes you have to accept that there's a little bit of a differing philosophy on that. And as I said, events come and go. We hope to return some events that aren't on the tour over the past few years, and you give those events time to grow, and maybe come back in the future.
Absolutely. And then one other thought, because again, we don't get all of our questions from the social media, but people have these questions, and we're a talk show, and we feel like people are interested in these things. So like, does the Disc Golf Pro Tour have, and I would assume yes to this first part, responsibility to work with local events to coordinate scheduling of the elite events, right? Your tour events. So like, for instance, you go into a region and they have an A tier established that they've run every year. Are you looking at the events that are happening around, or is it really one of these things where you're like, and not in a cocky, arrogant way, but like, we're the pro tour and like, we're going to do what's best for us. Like, how do you navigate that? And specifically, like, I guess people are talking about maybe down in Florida, the all-star event lining up with a large A tier or something or other. Like, and that's where the question started coming from. Like, what do you guys look at when you go and take an event?
Yeah. So we have a very defined process here, and it's set by the PDGA. They set their majors first every year, and then we set elite. Then there's PDGA Elite Series. So any PDGA Elite Series goes into scheduling next, and then the 8-tier process. So that's what we follow, and we try to focus on what's going to work. And the way that happens is that we know that the majors have the most planning time and resource allocation, and so they need the widest berth. But next up, is certainly Elite Series and affiliated events. So, we put that schedule out there, and then the 8-tier requests come in. And so, that's really basically the long and the short of it.
Great. Yeah, no, that's great. I think people are happy to hear these conversations, because so much, like I said, in the social media, quote, conversation happens and nobody gets a real answer. It's all just opinions. And I'm glad you're able to share with us how that works out.
I think,
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I was just saying it happens the same every year in, year out since, I've been a part of it. It's, once we became an Elite Series, in the national tour, before we were an Elite Series, it was like majors, then national tour, and then 8-tier requests. And we would coordinate with the PDGA to schedule the DGPT at the same time as the national tour, but the national tour would have preference. And then we would just work through that. And so now, we've merged together. And so the DGPTs go, and then we coordinate, and right when we announce they're ready and they hit the 8-tier request form. So if you're an 8-tier out there, 8-tier requests are open.
Could I possibly throw out a what if situation though? Like, just go back to like days of like Memorial Championship. It's not a pro tour. It would be an A tier at this point. And like, you knew it was established and hardcore there. Yeah, they didn't get approved for this year, but you go in and you're like, isn't that when Fountain Hills, a Memorial Championship take place? Like, I guess that's kind of where the question was like pointing a little bit, is like, if you're aware and know like how much of that factors in anything, or is it just like, hey, this is the process, we all live with it?
Yeah, absolutely. We would take into account anything that we can.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, we've built a strong business that's driving the industry forward. And, I think that what ends up working in terms of geography for the touring pros, the players, the people on the road grinding 24/7 throughout the season, has got to, take a front seat in decision making of our company, which is there to serve them, right? So, we're trying to prioritize the players. We're trying to look at a schedule that makes sense, and that's got to be the priority. It's got to be the priority for our business. and for the entire, pro tour and the entire ecosphere that, surrounds it and supports it.
Absolutely.
So,
I can
I
totally
think,
appreciate that answer for sure. Yeah.
yeah.
I think kind of getting a little bit off of the tour scheduling and then what goes into that. And I'm not sure how much you'll be able to elaborate on this, but what are some other things in the 2024 season that we can be, looking out for? I know announcements drop periodically throughout the end of the season, but what's kind of something you may be able to talk about right now for the everyday DGN live subscriber, or, anything in the lines of that? Like, what are we most hyped for in the 2024 season?
Well, I'm excited about the next few schedule announcements. I think that there'll be a few things to take note of as we round out the schedule for 2024. We definitely have a fun media distribution announcement coming up soon. So look for something about new place to watch disc golf. I think that other than that, DGN subscribers will be happy to know we've been working on a really long-term project to bring some new features to Disc Golf Network. So we're excited to announce like all the upgrades that we've been working to all season long to implement, and that'll be in effect hopefully in this off season in December. And I'd say those are the three headlines: like upgraded functionality, features on Disc Golf Network app, new media distribution announcement, and just rounding out that schedule with some fun new news, I would say.
I'm saying this with all love. You're still going through the flashcards. You're like, okay, which ones, in what order? Like, what are we promoting? No, that's great and fantastic. Evan, you have any last questions here?
Yeah, to return to the schedule, I think it would caught a lot of our eyes that we're going to Florida to start the season. But the thing that probably caught my eye the most was that Waco is now elevated to a DGPT Plus event, adding a second course, a fourth round. Is there any, there obviously is more excitement for that event coming this year, but is there anything you wanted to share about Waco?
Yeah, shout out to Ryan Draper and the Waco team there. It's a 40-year plus event, one of the longest running events in disc golf history. And we've known it to be at the Beast, which produces a variety of winners. And some people love that. Some people maybe don't like that as much, but I think it adds a certain flavor to the tour, especially earlier in the season. We are adding a new course, and I was lucky enough to spend some time there this March, and I'm headed back this off season. There's a new venue, Lake Waco, which is a golf facility nearby, but they have hundreds of acres of land. So this course is going to be awesome. Maybe Beast Part 2, or since we have another Beast, maybe the third Beast. I don't know. But it's a great layout. It was set up for amateurs last year and tested. Great facility. They're ready to go, and we're really excited to tack on the extra day.
Who goes into the design process of that for the Pro Tour level?
Yeah, so the tour will always, basically oversee, approving a course at this point in time through our operations staff. So myself, Phil, Brian, Christine. We have some design consultants that we work with as well, that we've worked with in the past: Steve Brinster, John Hauk, some others that we've brought in before. But in most cases, the local organizing committee will, have a course that's made, created, designed by a local or someone they brought in. An MAO, they brought in John Hauk, for instance, to design Harmony Bends, and that was an existing course. And sometimes things are built around courses, and we approve tournament layouts. But in this case, Joey Harrell, who I believe designed and installed the Beast, and then Ryan Draper have collaborated on the Lake Waco design, previewed it with me, showed me the changes for the pro layout, and Phil is there as well. And so we gave initial approval, and we're going back to do some work on it to get it to the finish line with them. And it's a really cool property. I think people will be very excited.
Very cool.
In wrapping this up, because we also have a really cool guest besides you tonight, Will Schusterick, man. That guy, 3 US titles. We had to bring him in prior to this week. But Florida, like people have been crying for Florida. We've had championship events there and all that with the Pro Tour, but like an actual stop in Florida, and it's called the Florida Open. I think that had to be just to be like, we did it. But like the Florida Open, how excited is the Pro Tour to be there?
Oh, thrilled, really. I mean, it's the top rated course in Florida. I think it's 4.8 on UDisc. It's a unique geological piece of property, and there's big improvements going into it. And so, since the transition of ownership, we were talking to Mike Barnett and, Throw Down the Mountain and that crew for a long time, very close to being a silver event there in the past, just kind of date conflict. And, I think that it's going to be, a great team. They're running the event, and the course is getting upgrades, and I think I've heard an eventual big clubhouse, and I think that just being able to be in between Orlando and Tampa and that time of year, we're really excited to see the DGPT fans of the tour, the players come out, and I think it's going to be a really special one. So we're already hyped for 2024. I know we haven't finished 2023 yet, but I think it's going to be certainly we're feeling like it's going to be the best, strongest season of the tour in our history, and I think we're getting close to that 10-year anniversary. So we're gonna get something really special done then, which I think is one more year. This is our 9th season next year, so we're excited.
Hell yeah!
Well, you are so generous and kind to come on our show as often as you do. And I know you spread the love. You're not only on our show, but man, we appreciate the insight. As I mentioned before, we can all talk. And we used to do this. We've had players reach out to us. They're like, why don't you just ask us instead of talking about us? So we're glad that you come on. I just figure we'll get you on. You can answer the questions that we got. And I think people in the chat, there's a few that came in, Jeff, that I think are worth sharing. Says Jeff Spring could read bedtime stories to my kids. He's awesome. Very well spoken. Seems comfortable. They love you on here. So there's no hate that I'm seeing coming your way. We appreciate what you're doing. It's always good to see you out there on the road. And so until next time, is there anything you want to shout out that we missed?
No, I mean, you guys were plenty thorough.
Okay.
So I appreciate that.
Great.
No,
we didn't dig too
Always
much
great,
and try to get
always
some
great.
of the fun stuff, but
no, I love it. I love it. We, there's a lot that goes into it, and we're excited for the season and excited to talk about it too. So
if we don't ask,
exactly.
people are like, what have you done? You had Jeff on your show and you didn't ask this question. I know we've already missed ones, but thank you for saying we're thorough.
Yeah, no, you guys have done your duty for your fans and subscribers, I think. So, no, but I love coming on. I know I can't say yes every time, but I'm happy to be a friend of the show.
No,
yeah,
appreciate
absolutely. All right, Jeff, until next time, we'll catch up with you again somewhere on the road maybe, or back up here in New England again. So thanks for coming.
Yeah, absolutely. Say what's up to Will.
Oh, absolutely. I think actually Will might have heard that. So we'll get him in here and we'll welcome the show in just a minute here. So
Take it easy, Jeff.
As we get into our next guest, we are excited because this is a player that we and everyone's smiling. Why? We got music going, boys. That's what we do on the Nick and Matt show. We have a very special guest. If you are new to the sport, Ben has a salute. U.S. United States disc golf champion 3 times. If you're new to the sport, you might not be as familiar with him. But when I came into the sport, this is the player that when I walked on Maple Hill and I saw him, I'm like, I have to get a picture with Will, and kids like line up like Will Schusterick's here. So 3-time United States disc golf champion, Will Schusterick, everybody. Let's welcome to the show. Will, how are you doing, man? Wow.
Hello.
All right.
How are you
So
doing?
I don't know why, Ben, but you're gonna have to work on the video. We do have your audio, I think. Is the audio running, Ben?
Yeah.
For him?
Give me a sec.
Give you a second. 3. We did such an epic
We
thing.
did such an
Are
epic
you
intro for
there?
Will.
You're there, right? Though, right, Will? You're there.
Did you give him second guest one for the
Yeah.
link?
Yeah,
That's the only reason
I should have. I should have.
Give
Now
us
we're gonna blame it on
second,
me.
Will. We're just figuring out how
Okay.
to get your video feed up on the screen for some unreasonable
Wow,
length.
that might be one of those times where we had the most epic reveal ever. It was okay. So
I feel like I'm like amped up to go to battle right
What
now.
I'm gonna
Like, I just
do-
feel like Matt gave a speech during Independence Day, and we're like, want to fight the aliens.
I looked
Oh,
across
no.
from me, and Nick is like inspired, like, let's go, bro, let's go. I'm gonna send you a link one more time, Will. So drop out of this, come back in, try this link that I
Segments.
just sent you in your text message. Like, close out of everything, try it again. I did send him second guess one. So
Alfred goes, LMAO pumped us up for nothing.
there was like, yeah.
I know,
we
that's what I
got-
mean, like,
People were like
yeah.
standing and saluting in their seats or wherever they were. They're like ready to go.
Yeah.
Before he gets back in here, I got to say, you're hyping up Will as you should as
And
three-time
major,
US winner,
and major.
four-time major winner.
Yes.
Which, hey, little trivia: what's the fourth major that Will Schusterick won? I just have to pull it up and double check
You have to pull it up and
I
double
have to-
check.
yeah,
I love
yeah.
it.
Major.
because I was just looking at it. But hey, if you guys want to guess it,
Is
I'll
it gonna
give
be
you
something
10
like-
seconds.
The Players Cup or
Stockholm Open.
Look at Ben looking up the
I
answer.
watched
Stockholm
Shoestrings.
disc
No, I
golf.
watched
Oh,
Shoestrings
but
today.
Hit second guess
I
one.
watched Shoestrings
Hit
today.
second
Oh.
guess one. I just want to see.
Look at that. Ben did his research ahead of time and knew from his
did.
research. Yeah, the Stockholm Disc Golf Open in 2012 won that over in Sweden, of course. Stockholm, Sweden.
Did you hit second guess one?
Yes, I have.
Because it's not changing anything. Okay, I'm going to do it manually.
Do it manually.
The name is the name right though?
Yes, name's right.
Okay. All right. Well,
There's Will. I see him in the green.
we had to do things manually tonight, and I don't know why, but here we go. We should have done
Beauty
the
of the
whole
live
music
show.
There
again,
we
but
go.
here he is.
Oh,
Will
nice.
Schusterick.
There we go. Finally.
He is here.
I did,
This was our bad. I don't know. I think I'm just going to blame it purely on tech bad, not Ben, not intern Ben. And I'm not taking credit for this one. It was just tech bad. So, Will, we introduced you as 3-time US champion, but you are a 4-time major winner. People are like, a lot of people probably are fans of you. They watch Ben's intern Ben. Come here. What have you been watching on YouTube lately?
today. Well, yeah, I've been watching. I didn't realize how great your drills and stuff were. So I've been getting it. I've been making sure my left shoulder gets back while I'm reaching back. You know, that got me a lot more coil and power. And today, Shoestrings just popped up on my screen, and so I was like, "Oh my goodness, he's coming on the show! I gotta watch it." So I watched it, and that's how I knew about Stockholm Open. But yeah, I guess I've been on a little Will Schusterick little. I don't know what to call it.
Kick.
Kick.
Archive.
Yeah, a
The
little
archive
kick for the
of,
past 3
of
weeks.
videos.
So they probably
Yeah.
read my mind and were like, "Oh, let's bring him on."
Okay, can you fix the
Yeah,
audio
yeah,
for him
I
too?
got you.
Okay, so we haven't let you talk much, but man, I want to know first of all, how much do these U.S. titles mean to you at this point in your career? You're still invested in disc golf. Looking back, or whatever it is, you're playing in it this year. Like, what does being a 3-time winner of this event mean to you?
Yeah, and it's funny. I was thinking, said to a couple of my friends and my wife, I was like, it could, like, looking at it from the outside in, I was like, is this going to be just a total waste of time? And really, the root of me wanting to go play USDGC is I've played this since I was 15. I was the youngest person to ever play the USDGC in 2007. I played, and there's just not a lot of things, like, as I get older,
Mhm.
whatever that is defined as anymore. I just
How
like to
old are you?
continue, 31.
Okay, 31. All right.
So I just like to I just want to continue doing something that's been a part of me for so long. Like, I started watching the VHS 2003 USDGC, which has got to get uploaded to YouTube. Whoever
Please.
has that raw footage. It's one of the best disc golf videos of all time. And that's the Barry and Kenny playoff. But that got me into wanting to play professional disc golf. And honestly, it just has such like a part of my disc golf career, which is my life. So I really feel like I should just go out of my way to come here and play every single year for, like, as much as I can, no matter what. And so at the beginning of the year, I said, I'm going to do everything I can to be at USDGC. So here we go.
So that actually lends to the question. It's kind of like a previous question from other episodes, but previous winners get a spot indefinitely at USDGC. Is that correct?
Right.
And Worlds at this point does not. Do you have any quick thoughts on that? When you saw like Avery Jenkins didn't make it in, did you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's so weird. I think disc golf is growing so fast that it has got to add in some of these like legacy rules that these other sports do
Hmm.
have. And I think one of those things, that Worlds is such a big title, US Open is such a big title, that they really need to add in something that is not so I don't know. It's like inclusive but exclusive at the same time. It's like including people that have won whether they play or not. Like when you watch the par 3 and
Okay.
you watch I don't know golf that much, but they still play the Masters. Like some of the people that have, they tee off and they're like 75 years old and they play one round and they end up like not finishing the round. But
Mhm.
they should still have people who mean a lot to the sport and have huge fans from years ago, like Avery does, to be in the tournament no matter what. It should just be, hey, the tournament's maxed out. Hey, but Avery wants to play. We should let him in the tournament. And that's how I feel it should be. If Ken Climo showed up the day of the USDGC and it was filled up, put him on a card somewhere. Like, just let him play wherever he wants to play. Like, he should just have the right to play.
Unfortunately for Avery, and I'm laughing because it's awkward, but like it's too late now. He's broke his streak. Now they can let him play in future years, but like that streak, man, you can't go back on that. So
Yeah.
that was kind of a sidestep there. The chat right away, we'll throw them a question, throw them their question to you. What took you off tour? I know you've had a son born with health complications, which that's a whole story we could talk about at some point, and interesting how the disc golf community I would say rallied around that. But even before that, you had kind of started stepping away. What was it? I think I heard something about an injury.
Yeah, I honestly got pretty bad shoulder arthritis, and this week you'll see me putt left-handed at the
Wow.
USDGC. I've been doing that for over a year now. Honestly, it's not like as crazy as it might sound, but it's just been difficult to be. I went maybe a year or two, and I love disc golf. I don't think I've gone a day without saying the words disc golf since I was 12 or 13. So it's like, but for a year or two, I really just did not enjoy playing because of my shoulder was not allowing me to do what I used to do at a top level. And my arm hurt at a pretty severe. I went to a bunch of people who gave me some professional help on what I could do. They always say surgery you can do, but you'd be out for, a year or more. And when you do come back, there's no promise that it's just going to be right back to where you were. So I kind of went through like, okay, what can I do to like mediate and meet somewhere in the middle? And in those times, I just got away from playing because I just didn't find any fun in going to professional tournaments and playing and competing and practicing. And it's a total different mindset going from being a number one player in the world to competing with not cashing or not cashing. And then do you really still find enjoyment in that sport? And me just taking several steps back, taking a larger role at Prodigy, having a son, moving from Nashville to Georgia, doing a lot more locally in my own town, doing course designs, and even stepping hugely back on the social media side and making videos has actually helped me really love the sport a lot more for why I got into it in the first place. It's really easy to love something when you're super good at it, and it's harder to love something when you were really good and now all of a sudden you're not that great. And I still think that I can be great without, put that to the side. But it's put things a lot into perspective, especially, having our son and seeing disc golf from a completely reverse 180-degree side that is not traveling. Like I can't imagine. I always joke because as soon as I make a post on Instagram, the first comment is, when are you going to go back on tour?
Yes.
No matter what the post is. And it's like, look, I really, really appreciate people saying we would love to see you go back on tour, because that means a lot that people still, care to want me to go play. Like that's really nice, a nice gesture. But I just can't imagine being on the road the way people are doing it right now. Like it is such a grind to be on the road, traveling, practicing, trying to be the best, competing against the best. And I just can't imagine myself doing that right now. Down the road, it may be different circumstances, but I just can't imagine doing it. It's a grind.
Yeah, it's a grind, but one that now pays $1 million a year if you're the right player. So
It's true. Yeah,
It's pretty
sure.
crazy. And to speak of number one player, you had that title for a while, didn't you? When did you achieve that? Do you remember?
2013 was the year, 2013, and maybe 2011 to 2013 was like around that range where I was like either one or two, and they didn't have USDGC in 2011. They might have only had two majors that year, actually. I
Hmm.
don't remember if they added in another major or not, but
We
yeah,
have a
anyways,
we have
doesn't
we have a
matter.
stat guy
We have
on
a
our
stat guy,
podcast.
Evan.
and I
What
could
do you
see
have
him
to say?
right when you said, I don't know. He was like, he's
2011
looking it up right away.
Yeah, 2011 had 3 majors. That's not
Okay.
including the USDGC that year. So we had European Open, Pro Worlds, and PDGA Championship in Georgia.
Okay, that's right. Yeah,
That was
won
Ricky's
that.
first major win. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you held that title, and that was just within 10 years. And so, like, I'm doing this both for the benefit of longtime disc golfers who know this history, but also a lot of our fans and listeners here on Nick and Matt show are like, tell me more about this guy. And to bring up that number one, 4-time major winner, 3-time USDGC, right? I remember watching, not live the way we are today, but seeing how some of that unfolded and be like, he did it again. Now, you did it every other year, right? Was it 8, 10, 12, or was it
10, 12, 14.
10, 12, 14? Okay, I was a little early.
Yeah, and they 2011 was the handicapped
Right.
USDGC, which was just completely different, nothing of the same tournament at all, and they didn't have the open division. I think that they had such a backlash that they had to go back to how they originally had it.
You would have won that one, Will. Come on now. You probably feel
Hey,
like it.
I like your confidence. That's what I'm
Okay,
talking
all right. He likes my confidence. Your rating, you just mentioned lefty putting. So your rating right now, no shame here, 964. That excites me. I'm like, I got to go play with Will Schusterick. We can put some money down and maybe I'll touch it.
I'm in.
But yes, he's a disc golf shark. So, but here's the real question: is that underselling your performance? Because like everybody says, my rating is less than my tournament play or whatever. Like I'm a better disc golfer than my rating. Like you feel like 964 is like your performance level right now?
I don't know, but what does rating really mean? Unless you're competing to be the number one rated player in the world, rating means nothing.
It means
I mean,
nothing.
That's honestly how I feel. That's just how, like, if you're not competing to be the best of the best, does rating really mean anything to you? And it doesn't. And if it meant anything to me, I would never play a 1-day, 1-round event in my hometown. I just would never do it. I would play the biggest tournaments 3 times a year to get a 10-10 to 10-30 average, and that's it. But I like to go play small tournaments that might have 5 pros. Like that's 20 minutes from my house, and that's the enjoyment level that's so much different. And I've never really cared too much about rating. I think it's something that probably is just going to end up getting like abolished, I guess. I don't know. I don't think people really look at it anymore like they used to.
Sure. And my point wasn't to be like, hey, is that a big deal to you? But more like to tell people if they were perusing, you're like, you're putting down, I'm imagining you're putting down 1,000 rated rounds still, like, right? Or no, you're not playing that much.
No, I mean, I haven't played that much. I've
Okay.
played, well, you got a stat guy, because I can't even remember the last time I played more than a 2-day tournament, 2 or 3-day tournament. I play more local tournaments and stuff like that, just because I don't have the time, and it's just so much travel and commitment to go to these, to go to some tournaments.
Well, his skill potential, everybody, his ceiling is so high. I'll just put it that way.
There we go.
I will look up rounds in a second, but I do have last time you played USDGC, in 2021, you did shoot a 1,000 rated round. I think it was 1,012. So you at least have one by then. You also played Music City Open that year as well. Oh, sorry, you had 2,000 rated rounds. In round 1, you shot a 1021. In round 4, you shot a 1012. Then you also had one at the Music City Open that year for elite and major level. I will note at that USDGC in 2021, I don't know what your expectations were going in as finishing, but you did finish higher than Cole Redolin by a place.
Yo, man, just throwing shots at Cole. Holy.
We played together the last round, actually.
Nice.
Yeah,
Look at
there
that.
you go. Kept the
I
lead.
think I met him there. I either met him there or I met him at Utah Open. I think I met him and his family at Utah Open.
Okay. I got a question just talking about USDGC in general. You said you are playing it this year. What are your goals going into this tournament?
It's a good question, and a couple people I work with have kind of asked me my goals and stuff, and I've never been a goal type of guy. I have more of a mindset going into the tournament
Mhm.
that I want to keep throughout the rounds, and really for me, that's just competing on the level that I can compete at. I know that these players are really grinding out, being on the road, playing these huge tournaments. I don't expect myself to go in there and just be like right up on top. Like I could never in my I'm not going to be that type of person that expects that kind of stuff. And
Mhm.
so going into the tournament back in 2010, I also had no chance in the world to come out with a win. Being 18 years old, I had never won an A tier at the time. And going into the tournament then, I just had a mindset of being competitive and staying within my game. And if somebody does something that is like outrageous, then you just let them do their thing. And really, I just want to play my game for what I know what my game is, and not worry about what the other competition is doing around me.
Gotcha. And now we're 13 years from when you did win your first USDGC. Can you kind of talk to us about what life was like on the tour back then? One of the coolest videos or kind of series you had back in the day was a nonstop disc golf tour. Awesome editing, awesome music in the background. The KC Wide Open is still one of my favorite final nines to watch. Can you kind of talk to us about what the tour life is like nowadays from you seeing it from the outside in versus when you were actually grinding that every single week you're playing a different event, whether it was a C tier or a major?
Yeah, and it's so much different now. It's actually kind of crazy because number one, the amount of fans that are at tournaments nowadays are just like unbelievable. I would never have thought that it got to this level, even 5 to 10 years ago.
Mhm.
And then I used to play 40-ish tournaments a year, and that just is not happening for a lot of these players. I think that I don't know how many tournaments Calvin's played, Calvin or Eagle or like any of the other top pros, but I would think it's somewhere in 20 to 25. But I remember the top pros back then were playing 35 to 40 tournaments a year,
Mhm.
and a lot of them were A tiers, and then they just had the national tour. There was no pro tour. Unbelievable. They didn't have a pro tour back then. But it was maybe once a month national tour, a lot of A tiers, and then you would play a lot of B tiers, which that doesn't exist anymore, to where top pros are like playing any type of 2-day B tier.
Mhm.
And there's a lot of 3 to 4 day tournaments, 3 to 4 day tournaments where you need to be there on a Monday or Tuesday to practice because it's starting on Thursday, and you're grinding it out. It's a lot of traveling. I used to put 50 to 60,000 miles on my car for 10 years straight. I've driven and been to every single state in the US because I would be done on Sunday after a tournament and just drive straight to the next one and be practicing on Monday.
That's
Wow.
wild.
Yeah, I'm just taking
thinking
it
about
all.
that, especially the tour being a little bit more spread out last year compared to probably what it is now.
So
Yeah, it's just so much. It's a lot of travel. I mean, it's the closest thing I could compare it to is like, being in a band where you just have a tour of back to back to back to back to back to back to back, and it's just is a grind of getting there, going through the same motions, staying at somebody's house that you may or may not know, and practicing the course. There was no live coverage too, right? So you like showed up to lead card national tour, and you would maybe have some of the local club guys there, and you're playing for a national tour championship, and that's not how it is anymore. You have 1,000 to 4,000 spectators that show up for
Mhm.
these pro tour or what were silver series events.
yeah, and so you're talking about the touring side of it, but let's take it back to USDGC this year compared to 10 years ago. What are the differences? You're playing in it. You just arrived there this evening, right?
I wish I arrived there this evening. I hit
Oh,
a bunch of traffic,
all right.
so I'm now sitting about 30 minutes out, but I'll be
Okay.
there tomorrow
So,
morning.
so the point is you haven't seen the course yet and any potential changes that have come, but like, what are the biggest things that you see as changes to Winthrop over all the years from back when you were playing it? We've watched it evolve, but you playing it has got to be a little bit different. Is it the length? Is it technicality? Is it holes being placed in front? Like, what is it for you that you're like, it's the same or it's way different?
I would say I would lean more on the way different side
Hmm.
versus the same. I'm also kind of the USDGC purist where I love original hole 1. I love original hole 2, original hole 3. There's some holes that they've changed that I have enjoyed the change, or I guess you could call update to the hole, whatever it is. Maybe it played a little too easy.
Hmm.
But a majority of the course, as everybody knows, has just gotten way tighter. And I think that, I think 2010 they played stroke and distance, where if you went out of bounds at any point, you had to rethrow from your last throw. But I don't know if they have any kind of crazy rules like that this year. I'm familiar with the layout and all that kind of stuff, but I just like originality and keeping things like pristine, right? Like I wasn't a huge change of like hole 7 where they made the triple bamboo or triple mando with the bamboo. Like I wasn't huge into that. Like they moved hole 5's basket, for I think last year they did that, or maybe it was a year before. It's not in the original spot. It's now like 20-ish feet from the water.
Mhm.
So even that kind of small change is kind of like taking away from the nostalgia of so many USDGC shots.
Yeah, I can see that. This event has been called the most prestigious event by players. I think if I'm probably not quoting perfectly, but Nate Sexton, I think he was on record on our show saying he might value. Now, he hasn't won a world title. We'll get that out there. But I think he said he really holds this so high that he's not sure that a world title would be better. Now, he wants to add it, of course, and maybe one day he still will. But like, where do you hold the prestigiousness? Is that a word? Prestige. Where do you hold the prestige of this event?
I think that it holds the prestigiousness.
There you go. Thank you for using the same word.
Because it's been the same location. It's got the same person calling out the names on hole 1 with Andy Green. It's got the same finishing hole, whether they've moved the basket locations or not. It's got the same hole 5, even though that has kind of changed throughout the years just a little bit. But I think because it's been there for so long, that's what carries on the legacy of the course and the legacy of that title, right? Like for professional disc golf, it's the USDGC. And I think, and I understand what Nate is referring to, because Worlds has changed so much that it used to be a marathon. It used to be 7 rounds or something crazy with a final 9, and now it's changed for, I think, the better. Not to say one devalues or one's better than the other, but I think the reason why people feel USDGC is so prestigious is it's a low amount of qualified players. It happens at the end of every single year. It's at the same location. It's got these holes that are iconic, and the way that it's promoted and shown off just makes it the best event.
Just the best event. We'll put that in our title tonight. Will says it is the best event. Where else are we at here?
I want to jump in for a second.
Go ahead. Yeah, because I've got a good closeout.
Well, plenty of people still know of your affiliation with Prodigy. I'm curious, what is your role at Prodigy? What do you kind of do day to day at the Prodigy company?
Yeah, I do, which a lot of people don't even know that I live in Georgia, even though I've lived there for 5 or 6 years. But I moved there about 5 or 6 years ago with my wife, and then we had our son. But my main title there is sales director. So I deal with a lot of people who are purchasing from us. So that's a very short, small version, not to go too deep into a lot of the other stuff, but very involved on a lot of different levels, and I love it. I love going there. I love the people I work with, and enjoy it.
Well, just earlier this year, we saw the archive come out. I know you used that word elsewhere in this interview, but
Yeah.
the mid-range. Any other kind of cool things in the work at Prodigy that you want to share, or is anything under tight
We've
wraps?
we've got some really cool things that are very close to being announced. I can't just pop it out there on here.
Oh, you can though.
You could.
We've had it happen on accident before, and we capitalize on it. I'll tell you that much. So
Well, you must. I hope you do.
Yeah.
No, but we're always working on something. Disc golf is, rising tide raises all ships in disc golf, whether it's Isaac winning worlds, an exciting time just to be in disc golf, or disc golf being on ESPN. I think that the sport itself is just growing as a whole, that everybody is seeing a nice benefit, and just more eyeballs, more people in the game, more people playing, buying discs. Like that's I think what everybody has as a benefit right now.
Okay, so I just found some. I went into the archive. I don't know how
Dang,
clear
look
it's.
at that. I still have that shirt.
What? This is my
So
now
funny.
13-year-old, just to put it in perspective,
That's
at
awesome.
Maple Hill. So back when it was probably the
Wow.
Vibram Open. So
That's a sweet hat in the back too.
what? There's a hat? I don't know.
A sweet hat disc golf.
Oh, there you go.
Adam.
So there you go. I literally,
Nice.
if I looked off during your interview just a little bit, it's because I was scrolling through 10 years of photos on my phone.
Oh boy.
I was like, I gotta find it. So there it was.
Nice.
I wasn't lying. When I introed him, I said, it's the kid, like the guy you'd bring over your kids to get a picture with. He was this guy, just like all the best in the world of our time.
He
So
still is.
well, he's still a great guy. He says he's only 960 now. I don't know, but no.
I think Matt. I think he smokes you in a round of disc
There
golf.
was no rating.
No
Just
doubt.
Imagine there was no rating.
Exactly.
I'm just messing
I've been
around.
saying that for years now. Ben, I know you said you had a question.
Yeah, I just got a question.
Intern Ben here.
So, as you say, the elite level is getting crazier. Just for any amateurs, pros, do you have any, I guess, advice if you were to go back with the whole shoulder thing? Anything to prevent it? Maybe work out or less load? Just like any advice in that realm that could help the future disc golfers.
It's a great question, and I'm glad that you asked too, because there's a lot of really young disc golfers out there that want to play disc golf for their career. I think that's it's becoming a viable option. And if I had to go back to tell myself to do something, it would be to really consider taking true time off. There's a lot of players who there's no off season, and if you want to live in that realm, I think you should use it for training, flexibility, light weight training, like not heavy, but more of just building out and strengthening ligaments, and your shoulder is the biggest thing. That obviously that's kind of obvious, I would say, but just building strength overall, not just massive, but flexibility goes a long way, and just taking time off from using it. I specifically remember throwing 1,000 putts a day, in the off season, and it's really not needed in December and early January. I think taking time off can go a really long way mentally and physically, and find somebody that you can, I guess, can do some can give you some advice on long term being an athlete. I think being healthy goes a really long way, but it's always good to get advice from somebody who has done it or is a professional at doing it.
Great answer.
I want to quickly jump kind of back to the height of your career. Actually, Will, one of my favorite memories, I loved watching you play back when I first got into the sport, which was about 2012, 2013. I think I had just gotten a Twitter around then, and it was right after the week of MVP Open. Prodigy had just relined the 300 series of the M3s, the M4s, and you were pretty much asking people like, hey, hit me up on Twitter, ask me a question, ask me anything kind of thing. And I remember I tweeted at you, and you tweeted right back probably 10 minutes later. And I was like, oh my God, disc golf is awesome. Like I just talked
Nick
to one of
has
my
never
favorite
been the
players.
same.
Yeah. I mean, like I have tried and failed very miserably on imitating your form. And that's pretty much the root of where my question is going. Back in kind of the height of your career, I would argue with anyone that you had the best backhand throwing form when it comes to accuracy and power all in one. And you also came up in a time where it wasn't the YouTube era. Now all these players have, kind of the videos to watch of you playing back in 2012, 2013, but you didn't have that from the generation that was in front of you. Where did your style of gameplay kind of come into effect? How did you develop it?
That's a good question too, because there wasn't a ton of, I guess, there wasn't actually a lot of youth in disc golf whenever I started traveling. Somebody that I played with a lot and looked up to for a little bit was Nico.
Mhm.
He was somebody that way back, like even, I know you guys are saying like I'm way back. He's way back and still around. And I think that there's definitely something to say about, him being player of the year in 2008, USDGC champion 2009. And we traveled, and he showed me the competitive side of being like just wanting to win. Everybody knows his passion for disc golf, and I've seen it, firsthand. And obviously I've played against Paul since 2007, 2008, and just being and visually seeing professional disc golf on a level that's played, I don't know how else to say it besides just extremely competitively, just goes such a long way. And there were some local players, of course, in Knoxville when I was growing up that really kind of gave me a visual of what it was like to throw a disc 400 feet, throw a disc 500 feet. But to watch somebody score, to throw different types of shots, to make long putts, like what it's like to prepare for an event, like, I know I kind of went off on a tangent there, maybe away from what
Keep it going.
what you really asked me.
Keep
But
it going.
I mean, there's, I in a way, I always give the advice to younger players: really learn as much as you can from the top players, but you have to be able to make your own game eventually. You're not going to be able to copy and repeat every single thing that Calvin, Eagle, Simon does. Eventually, you're going to have to overcome the fear of playing with your disc golf idol and beat them on the course.
Mhm.
Like if you want to be the number one player, and they talk about this in basketball and baseball all the time, because they look up the players, and LeBron's been in the league from people's dads to their kids that are coming in the league, and they're like, yeah, I used to run around here and now I'm playing up against LeBron James. But now you have to realize you have to go up against the player you looked up to the
Mhm.
most. And I'll never forget, it was 2006 Memorial. I flew out there and played my dad and I flew out there. I played intermediate, got 4th place or 5th place, and I remember Ken Climo putting on a basket, and I remember going out of my way. And if you've ever been to Vista, everything's out of your way because you have to walk all the way around the creek that runs through the whole course. And I remember walking up to him and saying, "Hey, Ken, my name's Will." And that's all I said. I was like a 13-year-old kid and just walked away. I didn't know what else to say. But I watched him on, I was like, "Hey, I'm Will." And he's like, "Cool." And I walked away.
Savage.
But I just had to, like, as a kid, like I watched him growing up. Like I didn't watch him live disc golf like people can now.
Right.
He wasn't on YouTube, but I watched a VHS on repeat probably 20 times a day. And that's like what I did. And then I would watch Steve Brinster from the 2005 Marshall Street Open.
Yes.
Hell yeah.
How about that one?
Yeah, we
Where he
love that.
aced the castle hole.
Oh
That's a
yeah,
good one.
Yep.
we love that.
Yeah, there's some really good throwbacks, and it wasn't necessarily one person that said, "Hey, Will, let's work on your form," or something along those lines. Like I played, and I would want to throw it further, and then I would watch people that could throw it further and say, "It is possible. It is possible to make longer putts. It is possible to throw it harder." And then you really learn to score, and you learn, what it's like to get 7 birdies in a row, and that mental side of, okay, well, here comes the 8th one. I've never birdied 8 holes in a row. And then you either part or bogey it or something like that. Always, it never ends up to
Yeah.
fail. But
Yeah.
So relatable.
yeah, and like experience just goes a really, really long way too. And
Wow.
a lot of the reason why I play smaller tournaments is just to keep that going. Like you can lose that experience at the same time as much as you have it, because the tournament atmosphere, just the mental side of, okay, you get one shot a hole. You're not going to get a rethrow. You're not going to get a reputt. You have to go through your routine, and this counts. Like this is for money now. And that experience side, winning small C tiers or winning small B tiers, goes a really long way. You can look at people like Chris Dickerson. Used to, he's had the most amount of wins, I think, from whatever the stat is. He's got a lot of C tier, B tier wins, and then he came up fast because he had the experience of just winning,
Mhm.
not necessarily the experience at this high level, but the experience of taking it down and scoring and knowing how maybe it's a a one-on-one where you have to make the right decision or wrong decision. And so a lot of experience, and not necessarily do you need to be the strongest, fastest, farthest thrower in the world, but you can show up and still beat anybody on any given day.
Evan, what's the answer? We see you off camera looking.
The most I wasn't exactly sure where that was going to be.
How many
honest,
wins
but,
he has?
He definitely has won a lot. I mean, if we just went like MPO C tier wins, maybe he had the record. Something in my mind says like he had the most wins in a row or C tier wins in a row. Something's there. I don't know if I have it
Statman
right
have
now.
like a power computer? Can't you just type that in?
Yeah. It's like keywords, Will's keywords. Put
Yeah,
those in
man.
and all of a sudden, bam.
I'll go look at Chris's profile and see what I'll look at.
You're
but,
making me do too much, Matt.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
just an example of just,
Yeah.
kids growing up and wanting to play disc golf for their life. Like,
Mhm.
look, if you're 13, 14 years old and you're nearly winning advance at every single tournament, just move up and play pro. Get the experience of playing with the best players in your town.
Okay.
And if you want to be the best player in the world, you can idolize anybody. I think that's great to do. But there comes a time where it becomes your form. It's not just watching and mimicking what everybody else is doing. It becomes your own game.
I think this is interesting insight, and my kids are watching upstairs in my living room. They always watch the show, and I'm sure my son Hunter's like, Dad, definitely. And I don't hold him back, but this year he won multiple B tier in MA2, and he's like, Dad, I want to play MA1. And I'm like, cool, go do it. So at 13, he's like, I want to start competing in MA1. To your point, I can see the advantage of it, and I've always said it too. Like, if you feel like you could dabble in a division, maybe give it a try. It'll boost your game. So I'm taking that one and running with that one. So this is a somewhat personal question, but how's your son doing? I mean, that made news for a little bit, and you weren't a touring player at that time. And I feel like I remember the disc golf community came together with a substantial financial gift of support. And how's your son doing?
He's doing really good. He's going to be out at USDGC this week. He'll
Awesome.
be kind of far away from where people are playing because he loves to run around and
Nice.
loves to be loud. But I love, if it wasn't for him, I could see myself just never on social media, to be honest. Like, I love posting videos and pictures of him. Like, it's just the best. And for those that do have a kid, they just as you do, or I don't know if everybody else does. So excuse me for that.
Just me and you, Will, here tonight.
Yeah, I mean, it's another level. I mean, it's not anywhere near having and being a dad and teaching somebody how to do something and then they do it or they learn how to do it is far and beyond any disc golf whatever you want to call it title you could ever receive. It's been amazing, and it's been a journey. We're very happy and couldn't be more hashtag blessed for where we have ended up now. And the disc golf community was amazing, have always been amazing, and it's always funny being out there and people are like, hey, you're Liam. It's like, oh, cool.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And
absolutely.
Yeah.
And now I have another excuse for why I'm not winning so many events lately, and my rating is low. Look, if Will
gonna let all
Schusterick's
your
rating
kids-
can be
yeah.
964, I can be like 920 and go, what's a rating? And all my kids, I'm investing it back into them, and they're starting to beat me now, which is excellent. So
I got kind of one when it goes to going from touring full time, your disc golf career, the 2015, kind of 2016, 2017 season, then moving to a larger role at Prodigy. Is that originally kind of how you wanted? Not maybe not timeline wise, obviously you want to play the best you can for the most amount of years, whatever, but kind of going from being a player and then working in disc golf, has that always been something in the back of your mind that, yes, this is what I want to do?
I think that I've just been very fortunate in my life to stay on this path. And I was telling somebody the other day, it's really just been God's plan to keep me in this sport since I was 13. It's given me this outlet that I loved playing organized baseball, organized basketball. And when I got to being 13 and you get into high school, unless you're 6 foot tall or just blessed with strength, you don't get an outlet anymore. And I really see disc golf where I came from, and where disc golf I think is taking off, is giving kids an outlet that they don't have. They don't have organized sports when they get into high school unless you're in the school. And disc golf is such a low barrier that the parent can buy a $10 disc and take them to go play for free down the road, that there's nothing that you can do for free anymore. Everything costs money.
Mhm.
I'm surprised they don't charge me to sit at the gas station right now while I'm talking to you guys on the phone. And I just
Send us
and
the
I
bill.
just see disc golf. Yeah,
Yeah.
I just see disc golf as where I was as a really young teen growing up, and I never got anything bad, luckily. But there's a lot of kids who have idle hands, and they don't know what to do. They want to do something active, and I really see disc golf as hopefully fitting into that realm. Like, I think that there's a lot of schools putting disc golf into their schools. I'm actually installing permanent baskets at every single Dalton public school, which there's 10 public schools. And
Wow.
we're planning to do organized disc golf within the Dalton public school system within the next couple months. And I really think it's going to be a great thing for any kid. Like, it could save, it has already saved lives, but I think it's getting to that level where it's like a viable long-term thing that kids can do that is such low barrier entry and to get into. And to answer your question about, has this always been my plan? No, I almost have just kind of followed where I've kind of been called to be.
Mhm.
And I always kind of go back in my own brain, because like I don't personally love where social media has gotten to as everything, culture has brought social media. Like, I don't like to talk about myself a lot. I don't like to post and say, hey, look at me, look at me, look at me. But
Mhm.
there's videos and posts and VHSs that I used to watch that changed my life. And I want to change other people's lives by teaching them to play disc golf. And if I can make a 15-minute video that's get 700,000 views and they love disc golf more than they did yesterday, then I've done my part in helping improve somebody's life just by getting better at throwing a frisbee down the road.
Mhm.
And I think that's kind of how I look at my calling in disc golf, not necessarily only by teaching, but getting the youth into playing how I did and teaching people to play, whether it's, for me, it's playing disc golf the right way. People will enjoy it more. And that's kind of where I have just always like gone with it, because I've been in it for so long. And I am very fortunate to be with Prodigy and have this long-term job that I also love and can give back and really give what was given to me when I was really young.
So my question, I was just actually Googling it because I wanted to see if it was still a thing, but you can just answer it for me. Disc golf instruction. That was actually a
Yeah.
big thing for a while. I remember really trying to promote it. I was organizing kids disc golf, the organization, running national titles, and you were a sponsor supporter of that. And I was just Googling it. Is that still a thing I can find
Yeah.
and subscribe to?
It's not around anymore.
Okay.
It was I would love to be able to bring it back up, but I have to choose where my time is
Mhm.
at right now. It's like, I've got my job, I've got my son. Do I want to play disc golf and get better at it, or do I want to go make video content and then deal with like membership users for disc golf instruction? It's kind of like, let's kind of dial it back a little bit. And my wife knows I love to overextend and open up new projects as
Oh
much as I
no,
can.
me
Love
too.
to do. I just love to. I love to do it. It's like, what do you want to do? You want to redo the barn in the back of the house? Okay, yeah, man.
So relatable. My wife is probably
Yeah.
watching with my kids upstairs. Pound the floor, honey, if you agree. I'll hear it in a minute. That we have this
Yeah,
conversation all the time. If I wasn't doing the podcast or other initiatives, it would be something else. It can't just be nothing.
Yeah, I just love, I love talking about disc golf. I love, I could see myself doing a podcast talking about disc golf, and I go on these tangents of like, yeah, I'm gonna do it, yeah, I'm gonna do it. You know, I built a fence in my backyard during COVID, built my whole privacy fence, and kind of got into that side of things. And it's like, I love to just do projects.
Yes.
I think
Nice.
that's just-
And you stepped back and you smiled and said, I built a fence. And it just felt so good. I know.
everybody knows. Whenever they come over, I have to let them know, hey, I built, that fence right there is pretty nice, right?
That is nice. That is nice. Well, did we miss anything? Is there anything else? I know you're still traveling. So did we miss anything you want to cover?
Not that I can really think of.
All right.
Is that the that's like the Grammy?
I guess. Yeah, I guess we're like sending you off. I guess so.
We missed the intro, so we got to send them off in style. But we still have a little bit. Go ahead.
I'll ask you kind of one final thing on my side. What do you feel like is your greatest achievement that you've ever had in disc golf?
Man, greatest achievement that I have ever had. That's a good question. I mean, I would like to be so deep to say it's not even winning a tournament.
Yeah.
But I would say it's 3-time US title. It's got to be.
Are you?
It's got to be biggest achievement.
Are you wearing the rings right now? Do you just walk around wearing your USDGC rings? Like, hey, I'm that guy.
shows how long ago I won them because they don't fit on my fingers anymore.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Well, good luck to you this weekend for the USDGC and then also the skins match. Very excited to see that go on. Very, very excited to see that and to see you back out there. Going to be an awesome thing. So best of luck to you. Safe travels, Will. We're sending you off.
All right.
We love it, dude. And seriously, you're inspiring. Everything, with all the part 2 stuff and everything else, you're talking about how you've come to the place you are now in disc golf, and it's inspiring. This music is really.
I told you, I've been on a kick. September 22nd, September 21st, all Schusterick videos. I ain't lying.
All right. With that.
All right. I'll send you some classics.
There you go.
We'll see you out there, Will. Peace out.
All
right. Everybody, Will Schusterick.
Yeah, I feel like
that was the best intro.
I feel like if you've ever watched the beginning of Remember the Titans, that's what I'm thinking. This sounds like very reminiscent of like everyone's walking and they're like, getting ready for the funeral that's happening.
Like this is how the Nick and Matt show ends. We all just start hugging and be like, it's been a great run, y'all.
We did it. We changed the world.
And
We
it was like this.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, dude, you just lay music out there as you talk and you just start like.
That's our whole show should just have some sort of music going on in the background.
Do you not feel inspired? Like after you listen to it,
I'm
you're
ready to
like,
go.
I just want to tell people.
I'm about to do 1,000
Be
puts,
somebody.
yeah.
Be somebody.
I got a good stat, which
Okay.
I do have something about Chris Dickerson, but I want to say something first.
All right.
Will was talking about being the number 1 back in, I think 2013 was the year. PDGA had their history, but Statmando, we've run official rankings all the way back to the start of 2006. Will was most recently the number 1 player in the world in 2012. Oh, excuse me, 2013.
Which is what he said.
Yep. That was the same year as the PDGA. We had him as the part of that year. He is the 4th most recent unique number 1 player in the world in MPO.
4th most recent.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
4th most recent. And you can easily guess the other 3. And to remind people,
Wow.
the Statmando official rankings are a very stable system meant to be like
Paul,
official
Ricky,
golf type.
Eagle.
Calvin.
Nope. Paul Ricky Calvin.
Oh, Paul Ricky.
Eagle has never
Calvin.
been number 1 in the world in Statmando
All right.
official.
All right, Paul Ricky.
Which
Calvin.
again, it's a stable system. Eagles playing fantastic lately, but doesn't have the sheer number of events at the top that
Okay.
Calvin has, and also Eagle only.
That's
has
still
a silver win
that
this year.
still is a
And
crazy
this is
stat.
it's a win heavy
What
system.
does stable
So-
system mean?
It means it doesn't have a lot of it doesn't change a lot week to week. It's not like, oh, you won an event, oh, you're the number 1. It's really meant to be
2
who
years,
is the
right?
best through. It's 104 weeks. That's 2 years, 24 months. And it does degrade over time. So it cares about your most recent events the most, but it takes in 20 events. It's really meant to, like golf does, really show who the number 1 is. And that's, I mean, obviously biased, but I think that is the best type of world ranking to have, is something that is more stable to see it. So you can have really cool longevity stats because of this, which to say that Will is the 4th most recent unique number 1 is incredible and really shows you the dominance of Ricky and Paul for a decade until Calvin didn't get it until this year. So very cool. And Nico was the number 1 player in the world, I don't know actually who was right before Will was, because I could look back and see the week by week, but I just
feel
like
like
a
it was
list of
Nico.
unique
Probably
winners.
Ken Climo. No,
It was
Dave
Nico,
Feldberg.
yeah.
Nico.
So
Nico, Nate Doss. Was Nate Doss? He had to have been at one point.
yeah, Nate. So Nate, I did it just since 2010, just to kind of see that recency.
The
Nate
modern
Doss-
era. The modern
Yeah.
era.
Oh goodness,
He
I'm
said
not
yes.
saying that.
He said yes.
I said goodness, not
Oh.
yes.
All right.
Nate Doss was as most recent as the 43rd week of 2011. Nico was as most recent as the 20th week of 2012, which actually I'm on a little tangent here. I'm going to continue it up for a quick second. When Nate Doss let up the number one ranking in 2011, you know what? I have this on another one, so I want to look it up because it is that cool. Give me a second.
While you're doing that, Ben, can you just put up the phone number for us? Like, do not call. We're not giving away a prize.
Someone's going to call.
It's okay. I guess I'll just ignore it. So we're just going to ignore if you call. Text us at this number. Text us your topic. If there's something we find interesting, we'll call you. We'll bring you on the show. There you go. All right, back to you, Adam.
All right, so Nate Doss was the number one in the 43rd week of 2011. Nico takes it from him. Then in mid-early 2012, Paul Macbeth takes it. Then Will takes it for a little bit in 2012. Ricky earns it back later in 2012. Will gets it back in 2013. Ricky gets it back later in 2013. And then Paul gets it back towards the end of 2013. So it was like this crazy 13, kind of 14, obviously transition time. Yeah, Paul had it. Yeah, I'm scrolling. I'm in 2016. 2016, about middle end of the year. Ricky took it for 1 week, and then Paul got it back.
Really?
And then Ricky got it probably after Worlds in week 38 of 2016.
Yeah,
so
that makes sense.
Cool to see the history. The second stat I had is Chris Dickerson's currently on a 21 event win streak at B and C tiers. So obviously that was kind of cherry picking there, and a tour level player playing B and C tiers probably is going to win a lot. I also looked up the most wins since the beginning of 2014, which was when Chris Dickerson's first started playing MPO, and he has 146 singles wins. That's the most of anyone in MPO in that time frame. The next closest is Scott Withers, just barely behind with 137. So there are other stats in there. If you look through his history, the amount of W's are insane. I probably could check like win percentage too. Yeah, a lot of other things. But Chris dominates locally. And hey, Nick, like a month ago, you were saying the advice you got from Paul Macbeth. You would always say win regionally before you go on tour.
Will kind of brought that up tonight as well.
Will says the same exact thing, unprovoked, on his own for advice. So cool to see if both Paul Macbeth and Will Schusterick are saying it. I'm going to take that advice. Of course, I'm not needing to take that advice because I'm
Evan. Evan, start winning locally. We'll get you out on the road.
I'll get that win number one. I'll get that row added to my PDGA profile, and then I'll debate moving up to MA1 after that. But I'll stick in MA2 for the time being.
Smart.
Locally, MA2. I'm not going to go on tour in MA2 yet either. So
dude, there should be like an awesome AM1 tour. I know there's a couple big tournaments for MA1, but imagine having like a legitimate MA1 tour. How many people would actually do that of just touring around? I mean, how do you justify it money wise?
Yeah, you don't.
Yeah,
you can't. Right?
Disc golf's not in that place where like once you're good enough, you really jump up to pro. There's not really a big incentive to be MA1.
Riddle me
People
this.
kind of stay for maybe a year.
Is it the Corn Ferry Tour or the Web.com Tour? What is it actually? Do we know?
Corn Ferry. I think it was Web.com.
I think it's
Is it Corn Ferry? Like that's name. What the most recent.
Web.com.
It's called the Corn
Ferry.
That must have been in like 2006 or something.
I don't know. I just feel like that it sounded familiar. But the Corn Ferry Tour. If someone wins a Corn Ferry Tour event, do they win money?
Of course.
And if they do, how much money?
Very certain they do. I'm pretty sure they still make money.
Yeah, I'm more so asking the chat this. Like, what if someone wins a Corn Ferry Tour event? How much money do they make off of it? Like, I'm just curious of like how much different, how different is it than an actual PGA event? Like
they're saying it's an AM tour.
What's that?
Someone just said there's no money as is an AM
in the Corn Ferry Tour. There's no money in it.
That's crazy. People are just
because I'm genuinely curious. Like, is the Corn Ferry Tour what we want our silver events to be? But if it's no money involved in it, I'm just
I'm looking at the Wikipedia page right now. There's a career money leaders. Darren Stiles has $2 million earned on the Corn Ferry Tour.
Yeah, there's no way. There is money. I was about to say, like, you can't justify people not getting paid on the Corn Ferry Tour. Holy crap.
But it's also not updated since 2018 for that.
And the vision's way different.
It's just points. Oh, I'm a little confused.
No, they do pay. I'm seeing it now. Like there's a Ohio State or I don't know, National Children's Hospital Championship has a purse of $1.5 million, and it got paid out. So I don't know when that was, but I just Googled it. So Corn Ferry Tour does get paid.
Well, there you go. So we opened up the phone lines. We got a whole bunch of good ideas that came in. But we welcome in friend of the show, longtime chatter.
Long time, honestly, debater. Honestly,
Is it Daniel?
Yeah.
I knew it.
Oh no.
I knew it. Right when
How
you
did
said
y'all
long
know it was
time,
me?
I was like, oh, it's
Because
Daniel.
you always say Daniel from Texas on every time
Yeah.
you text us. So you.
But I didn't do it this time.
Yeah,
No, I
didn't do it.
right when Matt was saying it, I was like, it's got to be Daniel. It's got to be. There, I had like 3 choices of like Daniel, Todd, Ken.
Daniel has roasted
Wow.
each and every one of us at least once in the chat.
No.
No, you did.
All
You're
respectively
roast.
so.
He's a roast.
Well,
And
all
we've
right,
all
I'm
roasted
curious
him
now.
behind the
Well,
scenes.
everyone, to
I'm
everybody
sorry.
listening
No,
right
no,
now, we
no.
got Daniel, who is one of our moderators and lawyer out of Texas, correct?
That's correct, sir.
Awesome.
CrossFitter.
All right, what is your subject that you're bringing to the show tonight?
He wants to play along.
Okay.
Yeah, I wanted to do a little USDGC preview and specifically the pop, lock, and drop.
Oh, all right. You know what's funny is I was like, what are we doing for topics? And I was like, we should get our picks in. But this is perfect. And we're since Daniel asked for it, we're doing a pop, we're doing a lock, and we're dropping someone.
All right.
We're
As long
hurting
as we
feelings. We
say
are hurting
Daniel told us so.
feelings. Daniel told us to do it, and I love doing it. We're dropping someone this week.
All right.
All right. Well, Daniel, you brought it up. Do you have
Where do we want to
you
start?
have your pick for who's your pop off player? We'll
Oh,
do the lock.
pop
We'll
off.
do pop off, then the lock, and then who we're dropping.
All right, so for new listeners, the pop is the overperformer, and I'm going to go with Chris Clemens.
Ooh, okay. Chris, been on a little bit of a tear lately. We've been seeing his name a lot.
Man,
All right, I gotta find.
we're
think
all
it's
like
a
trying
good-
to get
Good
prepared right
lefty
now.
for us.
I'm trying to look
Yes.
for the registration.
You have to believe previous USDGC winners will be in there. So that one's not really too much of a question.
Sorry, I missed. Are we doing the pop or the lock?
pop on
We're,
right now.
we're popping
doing
off
pop
right now.
first.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
And go ahead if you're ready. Whoever's ready.
I'm gonna go for it. Mr. Dark Horse man himself. Brody Smith. His average isn't great. By isn't great, I believe it's in like the low 40s, which I mean, like it sounds worse than it is. Like average is average. But just something about Winthrop. He seems like he's the type of person who likes the difficulty of Winthrop. Like he wants that in disc golf. So I think his mind's gonna be a little bit better.
Okay. I can't for some reason scroll fully left or right on this that I'm looking at trying to figure out
y'all should have
averages.
done this ahead of time because I've been whooping your butts, and I actually looked this up ahead of time
Yeah,
and get my pick.
That's
well,
the thing, because you can look.
I was
You have a
just gonna say.
database that tells you like, oh, this person averages 80th. We're just guessing.
That's what I was
We have
just
no
gonna
idea.
say.
There are tools on statmanda.com for you to use. You don't need
Okay.
the
We do it
database
last
to
minute.
get
All right,
cool info.
I'll go. Here's my pop. I'm going with Salad Schultz, my boy. He's nasty. He's gonna do great there.
All right. I've got mine too. Nate Sexton.
Okay. I've got
All
mine.
right, that was a good pick.
I've got mine because it is the 10-year anniversary of my guy winning this
Oh
event.
no,
Steve
No!
Brinster. And
That's
you want to know why? Because if
crazy.
Steve picks up a top
he-
10, he's going to get me so many points. So Steve Brinster.
He doesn't even
is
need a
Does he
top 10.
qualify, though? Does it?
Nick. No, he played Worlds, so he at least right. So
Yeah.
he at least has one finish. He's not like a Manabu who had a null or whatever,
Yeah.
undefined. Yeah, I wanted to go Steve Brinster. I'm like, that's such a good pick. His
Yep.
average is 134th on the season.
My man.
He
No
has
matter
to
what,
play
I'm
at
getting
least 30
automatically get
events.
40
We
No matter
gotta
what,
make
I'm
a
getting points.
requirement.
Maybe let's say this. Let's say
He's gotta get
if
to-
your
how many people are in
average
this?
is over the field size, then
There's
their
103
average
people.
becomes the field size.
All right, there's 103 people. So,
So
what
his
do you
average is 103rd. That's what I
you want to do that? I was going to say
It's-
he
it's-
has. I would say for points wise, like he has to get 80th or better. Like I'll give you guys 20
Well,
spots.
We can do that. Yeah, I think that's fair too.
What do you guys think? Are we all in agreement? Awesome.
If
Steve
Evan
Brinster's
feels good about
my
it,
guy.
then I'm
If
good
they're
about it.
if they're
I don't
average,
really
and let's
understand it, so
say
yeah, whatever.
we'll have to do one for it's just saying that if your average is higher as in worse
Yeah.
than 80th, it becomes an 80th average.
Okay.
Cool.
And we could, Ben, you wanted to use Manabu at D-Glow, it would have been the same thing. He didn't have an average finish, so it becomes 80th. I think that's a fair idea, Nick. And I still think Steve Brinster's a good pick with that.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that's Pop. Where are we going next?
Evan, write these down.
I will just watch back on the video because I already forget.
All right, Daniel, who's your lock? Who's winning USDGC this week?
Specifically,
My
we're on
lock?
MPO.
I want to stop for a second. Like I know USDGC is MPO only. I do think it's right to do throw pink as well, unless we wanted to do it.
We're doing throw pink after.
Okay, I just want to be clear with that.
We'll do all USDGC first, and then we'll throw pink.
It's not even a major, Evan. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
Okay, we're doing
we'll do
MPO
throw
first.
pink.
Go ahead, Daniel. Who's going to win MPO or USDGC?
My lock is Gannon Burr. He's going to win,
Gannon
and he
Wait,
is
how do you say
going
that?
to win Player of the Year.
How do you say that, Daniel?
Again.
Gannon Burr.
Yeah. Yes. I was afraid to pick him. I'm a huge fan now. He lived with me for 2 weeks. It's hard not to be a fan. And I was a fan before, but it's just a different level now. But it's still hard for me to pick him. I think he can win it. The odds in my mind, I'm going to go out on a little bit more of a limb here. And this is who he was contending with last year, Niklas Antila.
Ooh, I used to always pick Niklas.
He plays well at majors, it seems, for some reason, and he knows it. And he did so well last year as a chance. So we'll see. That's my pick for win.
Benny boy?
All right, I'll go ahead while Ben thinks.
Go ahead, Evan.
This is also lock picks, just to be clear. There is a point structure, so winning is the best.
Yes.
But you want to pick someone who you think's gonna finish in the top, and that's where I'm going with this pick of Ricky Wysocki.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to say he's gonna win because it's been that monkey on his back since 2017.
Yeah.
But his worst finish in majors since 2015, which has got to be like 40 something majors or whatever. I'll check in a second after I finish talking. His worst finish is 12th. That is good. That gets you no points in lock, like it did when I picked him for Worlds, and I'm doing the same pick here. But I want to be clear. I think he's getting a top 10 and getting points, so I'm going Ricky.
All right. It's funny enough. I almost said Ricky to win this because I have two players that I'm thinking of right now. It's Ricky, and I think this is when I see Simon take down the United States Disc Golf Championship. So I'm going with Simon Lazard.
Why would you curse him like that? No.
26 events for Wysocki since 2015. Just to update my
Pretty
bad
awesome.
saying 40.
I'm going Simon. Ben?
I'm going to go... Oh, I honestly forgot. Oh, Calvin.
I was going to say, dang, no recency bias. No one picked Matty O.
I've never picked Calvin in my life, so this is my first time trying it.
We'll see how it goes.
This is my first time trying it. Have fun with that one. I've tried it a few times
for the first time.
It's so funny. You'll be heartbroken, I'm sure. You'll be like, dude, you were so close.
Calvin, right?
Yeah, I have. But then I got too confident and like, he's the man. Okay, he is the man, but he just needs to win more. All right, going to drop. I was trying to talk a little more to get mine out of the way. Daniel, who do you think?
I hate to do this to it, but Isaac Robinson.
Don't you hate it?
And I'm sorry, buddy.
See, you hate it.
He's just an it.
It's like we should make a rule with drops. You cannot apologize. You just have to.
You just have to be savage about it.
You just say it.
Yep.
But okay,
and guys,
Isaac.
we really got to watch. We really got to watch Calvin, Isaac, and Gannon because those are your 3 Player of the Year candidates. So this is a big one, boys.
That is a big one.
Is a big
Agreed
one.
there.
No doubt.
Player of the Year, man.
All right, man.
Big
Who you dropping?
conversation. Oh my goodness. I was debating because this is the opposite, as everyone knows. I want to pick somebody who's been playing pretty good, who's gonna not play good. So I'm like trying to stay up near the top here. Oh my goodness. Ezra Aderholt has performed good here over the years. I don't know what his performance is averaging this year. Ezra Robinson.
Whoa.
Yep.
This is why we can't be friends of
It's
people.
recency bias because he's been playing good recently, so I don't know what his average is, so I feel bad. If his average is like 30, that means I'm really saying he's going to do bad. But
his average is honestly pretty good, I think. So
he is in this event, right?
I think it's a decent pick.
He is in this event, right?
He should be.
I just realized that.
Idea. All right. This I honestly don't know where I'm going to go. This is random. I feel like he's been doing sneakily good this year, and but he's so good at just landing. I don't know. Evan Scott. I'm going Evan Scott. I have no idea. This is just a complete whim.
Ooh.
I have no idea where he's averaging. And
Yeah, because if he's averaging low, then that's a horrible thing.
well, I don't have a stat,
No.
man.
No, that's what you want. You want them to average.
High.
low
Oh, no,
isn't
I
bad.
want-
Not
Sorry,
this one.
Yeah.
sorry. It's back and forth.
Opposite.
Yeah.
You want them to
I knew what
average
you meant, Evan.
good and then play bad.
Exactly.
It's weird because low can mean
Yeah.
both. And
So
it's just
I
how you
think he's
of it
averaging
first.
like 30th. So
I think-
hopefully he finishes. I don't know.
Go
We'll
ahead.
see.
Did you do your? You did
No,
your.
I
drop
gotta do mine
already?
right now because this.
Okay, go ahead.
This one I think is gonna bite me in the butt, but I'm gonna say Goose.
He was on my short list too.
That's a good
Evan,
a lot
one.
you and
where
I,
you're like-
we were like right on
That's
with
a good
everything
one. Yeah.
tonight.
Well, no, because Simon was on my short list for the drop as well.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
He finished 59th last year. Cole Radalin, I mentioned that he lost to Schusterick in 2021. He
Yep.
finished 85th last year. He's averaging really good, of course. I'm so tempted to do that, but something tells me that this year is going to be a little bit different.
Yep.
I'm going to say my pick, and you guys tell me if you think it's fair or not. I'm going to go Mari Vilman because he's averaging 17th on the year because of European Open. If you think that's unfair,
Unfair. No. Unfair.
No,
he's
I mean,
averaging
I
17th.
We need.
I mean,
we
I
need.
kind of-
I think we need a 3 event minimum. I think that's the most fair way to do it, in my opinion.
And maybe like elite majors because I think he's played some Euro Tour, so
Yeah.
he's got Pro Tour
Yeah,
points.
because I could
I got
win
you
Alright.
for
and
instance, then,
dip
right?
and then have a 1 finish.
Well, we added then the 80th minimum or the 80th thing for pop, so I think that's okay.
Okay,
That's
so how
okay.
do we?
I'll switch.
All right.
I'm gonna go to Cole, and you know what?
Cole's
You
your
haven't
drop.
played good here in the past, so that's why I'm picking you. I'm
All
I'm
right.
sticking with the harshness. I picked him as my lock for MVP Open,
Oh,
so it's switching it around.
All right. All right. Well, now we're throwing it over to Throw Pink. Is it Throw Pink Women's Disc Golf Championships? Daniel, you went first last time. We'll let someone else go first this time. Matt, me, Ben, Evan, who do you want?
And we're doing the pop.
We're popping off right now.
paid shoe for me.
Oh, there we go.
Paid shoe, come on, you got this. I believe in you.
Another toughie here because this is why the game's fun though. Haley King. Is
What?
that bad?
That is a terrible. Oh, yeah, I think that's pretty
This is
bad.
pop.
This is pop
Her,
off.
her
Yeah.
average is good.
Yeah, she's really
How
good.
So
good?
that's
Yeah.
That's a bad play.
How
that's the
good?
question.
How? Oh, it is pretty good. It
Um,
is pretty good. She'd have to win it to get any points, really. Oh man, I don't know.
Come on, paid shoe.
I want to pick somebody like Sai, but I don't feel it. Lika is
She's been
performing
playing
well
good.
lately. What about? This is tough. I'm doing it live. I did not prepare this.
All right, I'll jump in.
Yeah, I was gonna
and
say, I got one. Go ahead,
Maria
Evan.
Maria
going-
Oliva.
All right.
That's my pop.
right.
I'm going Silva Saarinen. She has played 6 events this year at Elite and Majors. Thank you very much. She's playing great. She's very good. And if you don't know her name, you will know her name very soon.
All right. I'm going Katie Tati. She's my pick. Daniel?
I'm going Alexis Madahano.
Nice. Almost picked her,
Is
actually.
that a good pick?
Yes.
That's my question. Is we need like
Yeah.
a rundown
Oh, no,
sheet
I'm-
before the
I'm
show.
thinking of-
Yeah,
Val,
you do
sorry,
that
sorry.
pre-show.
We need that pre-show.
That's the work you do.
Yeah. That's the work you get.
Stab
to put in
Mando
for it.
should do that.
So I'm doing work for all of you guys
Yeah.
to be better at pop lock drop.
I
No,
honestly,
I want to win.
I don't think it's that deep. So no, you don't gotta do it for me. I'm
All
just
right,
gonna
Ben.
guess day up.
Ben,
Where's
who's your lock?
Alexis? Wait, where is she? She's
Who's my
registered.
lock?
Oh,
Is she
she is. Yeah,
qualified?
she is.
Yeah.
Yeah, she
I'll
is.
go. I'll go.
Okay, cool.
I'll go Haley King, back to back. I just found her Hawkeye in the pits of Maple Hill, hole 16.
Wait,
to
you
the
just went
left.
Haley King
Yeah,
on pop?
For lock.
lock.
Oh, I was
Pop
just
and
like,
lock?
what? I'm
No, only
behind.
lock.
No, his pop.
Um,
His pop
yeah.
was pay shoe.
So I dove
Oh,
into a
excuse me.
swamp for her
Okay.
disc, and she got it back. So I gave her that good luck juice. Because she's gonna throw that disc that I retrieved from the swamp.
There you go.
Okay, bye.
Evan, you have a lock?
I mean, I'm wasting my time if I don't say Kristen Tatar.
Yeah. Yes,
I've never picked
I'm going
Kristen.
Kristen Tatar.
Do we have to ban Kristen next year?
Oh, it's boring to pick her. Whoops.
'Cause she's
my
so
No, this is
bad.
points.
Dude, it
We're
is
playing for
boring.
something.
You are very boring
I'm
with
looking
your pick.
right at Matt with that statement.
And you're very boring with that pick. Missy Gannon.
That's a good pick.
I love that
I
pick.
love Missy's.
Daniel?
That's a pick.
Yeah, Big Money Missy. Let's go.
I'll go Christine Tatar.
All right, that's my guy. I think that's a very safe bet. All right, we're dropping someone. Someone's got to get dropped. Who are you dropping, Ben?
See, it's hard when you go first.
I'm just gonna go. Is Owen Scoggins playing?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna go her because she's nasty, so good, and hopefully she just forgets how to play disc golf this week, and that'll help me.
Dang, savage. You don't have to be so rude about it.
I say hopefully. I'm not saying she probably won't. That's probably the worst pick I could have done, but
I'll go Holland Hanley.
it's a real gamble.
If you could see, here, I'll show you what I was just looking at.
Yeah. Oh, it's
Same.
yeah.
Same. Holland Hanley for me and Nick.
Evan?
I will go Katrina Allen. She's still averaging 14th, and I don't think she's finished in the top 14 since the European Open.
She
so.
chose this event to go back to old form. I forgot to tell you that.
Hey, you know what? That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Good for her, and I will gladly be wrong.
I did
But
that.
can't
I
say
did that
sorry.
work pre-show. I texted her and I found that out because I'm doing the real work on the ground level. You know.
All right, Daniel. Who are you dropping?
I'm going to drop Ella Hansen.
Ella Hansen. I almost said Ella Hansen too.
Man, it's gonna be Holland Hanley and Ella Hansen going down to the wire for the win, and y'all are gonna be
Dang.
sorry.
I was just gonna say,
You didn't
imagine
pick
Ella
either of
Hansen.
them
This
for
is
a
the one
while.
she wins.
I always pick her too.
Cool.
Well,
All right.
Hey,
well,
but that's the point of drop.
we gotta put it.
People
So
doing good.
Evan, since Daniel brought this up to us tonight, can you make sure to grab his as well so we can add him into the points for next week?
Yeah, sure. I'll add him
Perfect.
into the last place finisher spot. That sounds great. I'm totally kidding. Wishing the best to you, Daniel. And it's pretty easy to beat some of the other contestants here on this show in Pop Lock Drop.
pretty
Did I win
easy.
last week?
I'm a
Thank you,
little too
gentlemen.
cocky with Pop Lock Drop, so I think I
He
deserve
loves
to get
it.
whooped.
All right.
I know he
So,
literally he like wakes up in the middle like he's like I just want pop lock drop. I forgot.
I may not beat any of you in disc golf. When we play disc golf, I will not win, but
We'll
I
see.
can win at something.
We're filming tomorrow.
Yeah. Oh
All right.
yeah. That'll be
Daniel,
fun.
thank you
New
so
video
much.
Coming out.
Appreciate it.
Yeah,
And
peace
as
out.
Thank you,
always,
guys.
thank you.
All right, here we go. So that was fun. We've never done that before. We brought in a longtime listener just to go through a segment with us. I thought that was great. We still have a lot of texts coming in on topics we could do, but we are at a later point in the show, so we're not going to do that. Yeah, this is an exciting week. To the interview with Will and just talking about the prestige of this event, this is a big one. People say this is the one. If you get a chance to be there. If you don't normally watch, this is the pay-per-view. Like, you should watch this.
They need to win a jacket at this term. We have to have a jacket tournament, and I think USDGC would be the prime.
Nantucket has it.
Well, speaking of a jacket, yeah, Casey White just won a jacket.
Casey White
a
did
nice,
just win a
like,
jacket. Yeah, nice
salmon
orange one.
colored.
Yeah.
Orange.
It looked orange on Facebook. It might be more of a
Nice
salmon color. I'm not
vineyard
really
vines
sure.
color, you know,
It's a salmony reddish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, for this tournament, like the Masters, everyone, all the previous winners, they all show up. They've got their jackets on, and it's a very, very nice looking thing. I would love it if disc golf at this event. I'm a little biased because it's my favorite color, but like a nice blue jacket with just nice blue blazer, I think would be icing. I think the rings are awesome. I've actually, I've seen Paul's up close. I've held them. They're really, really freaking cool.
I think ring is cooler. I'm gonna say it.
But no one just
Have
goes
both.
around like it's tougher to see them wearing the ring rather than
Sure.
when you see them at the players' party and it's there at the
okay.
table where this
Yeah.
is the past winners. It's this cool feeling to it.
Yeah,
And
'cause where else would
seeing
they
them
wear the
wearing-
jacket?
Yeah, seeing them wear the jackets would be like.
Remember
dang.
the first
The
Pro Tour
ones in
jacket?
the world? Yeah, dude.
A white
Yeah.
spacesuit jacket.
What was it? Tompkins 1 year for Worlds was wearing it during like a rainstorm for Paul. He was wearing the Pro
It's
Tour
so cool.
jacket.
So cool. So anyways, this event is big. It's almost wrapping up the season. We both FPO and MPO people players playing tomorrow. You can hear that we're filming. We probably won't post it right away. It may be a few weeks, but like, we're going to do a fun video. We're reviewing a disc golf bag and as part of the process of our content, and we're going to be doing something with Tech Disc.
Fire.
We're gonna literally this could be fun. How far can you throw a disc? Throw in the chat right now before we close out. We gotta type it for each of us. How far are each of us gonna throw? Because we're gonna do a baseline standard for how far each of us throw without the use of the tech disc as our coaching tool. Then through the process of finding out and using tech disc, we're going to attempt to increase our distance. Not in one day, not in one afternoon. It might be that easy. How far are we going to throw discs? Let me just get it on record, because next week's episode is weird. We'll talk about that. But Evan, we're going to go out there tomorrow, and I've got a rangefinder. This is serious, not even to be funny. Like, how far do you think you're going to throw your farthest throw? Like, actually to the dot.
Oh, we're going to a field?
Yeah.
Oh, sweet.
Actually to like the dot.
I'm going to say 312.
Okay, 312.
No, you got more than that. Get out of here. I've seen you park hole too at Meadowbrook.
Oh, shoot. I was thinking backhand. My bad.
It can be whatever you want to work on.
Yeah.
Maybe we should do both.
Backhand will be 312. Forehand's so inconsistent, though. It could be... I'm going to say forehand will only be like 345.
Okay.
Here.
So anyway, I say anyways, that's interesting. And my ankle is still an issue.
About that anyways, right?
Maybe
350.
Well, and we're going to be a flat. Like, you don't get any elevation help with this. That's the best part. It makes you feel miserable.
Max power forehand in a while, but
I'm excited.
It's not just me. Like, Ben, what do you think you're going to throw?
It's going to make you feel miserable. I'll tell you that much, because throwing flat field, man,
so I'm not a great. I don't know how to do distance lines where they do any. I pretty much just throw highs or flip ups. So I definitely can get the 450
on flat.
Yeah,
like
I'm
flat.
I'm pretty sure.
I can't wait until you don't hit 400.
This is what I'm saying.
I'm pretty sure.
When you barely tap 400, you'll be like depressed.
Whoa!
No, you throw farther than me, so you're gonna break 400. But it is like, I've done this before, and every time you're like, oh, I think I can throw that far, because you're out in the course. You get out to the flat field, and you're just like, Nick, what do you think you're gonna throw?
I'm trying to think the last time I even played disc golf right now.
Well, I want to say this real quick too, is like flat ground. Like if we're throwing in a field too, like no tee pad.
Yeah.
Like
we'll give you
off of a grass.
Where we're gonna go, you have a little sidewalk portion you'll be able to go out.
Okay, fair enough. So that's better, but still like flat ground, it just like it. I mean, to me, it just feels like I give it all my might, and it just like it feels a little short. But when you're on the course, it feels a little different. You get a little bit of downhill, and you let it soar. It feels shorter than you think, and I think internet distance is very real, and everybody overrates it. Like 300 is a good disc golf distance for an amateur. Like that is good. I want to say that on the record now.
What do you think, Nick?
I think
you didn't give a number. Like
with what I'm going to throw, I'll be lucky if I hit 410 tomorrow.
Lucky,
I think so. Yeah, I haven't. What's today's date? October 2nd.
Then you should throw further if you haven't thrown in a while.
I don't know. I don't. I can't off the top of my head tell you the last time I actually threw a disc.
All right. Well,
like since I've been in Massachusetts,
this will be fun.
I don't think I have.
Can we bring Simon? Simon, are you listening? No, he's at USDGC.
He's down there.
Be like, can he just be our standard of like throw one shot and now we try?
We'll get Nick Economos to come out and do it.
Ooh,
just be like, hey, throw one.
See
shot.
if tech disc can help him throw further.
I did tech disc.
Actually. Yeah,
they already told you. So now this is a problem. You can't use any of that information.
I've already done tech disc at Worlds, and they
have you worked on your problems?
I guess, but they say I can throw over like whenever I throw
shoulder pushing it back and the
exactly
get more recoil.
It said I've thrown over 500 in the tech disc, but I can't. I don't think I can do that.
Well. Depends.
On the flat field, it's hard.
We're going to talk about this. We're not doing the review right now. You have to set in the flight numbers for the disc you're throwing. So if you usually throw a destroyer, for instance, you need to make sure in tech disc that it doesn't give you destroyer. You put in the flight numbers. Because if you're throwing 500, you need to see what those flight characteristics were of that disc so you can go buy it. Because if you're throwing 500, it's very likely you could. So,
yeah, I know.
For me,
not a right flight for me, honestly.
I'm really curious because of my ankle issue. I may bow out of it tomorrow because a month or two ago, before tech disc, I actually went out to the field with my kids with a rangefinder, and we did all of their range finding for both of them, and we did mine. I can tell you what my furthest throw was right now. I think I'll probably try throwing tomorrow, but I want to make sure I don't overdo it. My farthest throw is 395. with a destroyer.
That's good.
That was my farthest. And I was probably out of like maybe 6 or 7 throws. The rest were probably in that like 370, 360 range. It's hard. I'm like, couldn't I have thrown that extra freaking 5 feet?
Yeah, no, right.
5.
Yeah.
I walked up and I'm like, dude, I can hold 5 feet like in between my arms, like hug it. Like I couldn't get the 400. It's that hard once you get to the end of your range. So that's my number. We'll see what happens tomorrow, but we're doing more than that. So we've got some content that will be coming in the next few weeks.
I gotta prepare. I gotta hit 450. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I'm gonna hit the gym tonight.
You don't. Here's the thing. You want it to be normalized.
Pizza.
You want it to be normalized for this experiment.
Well, there's
guys.
nothing I can actually do to prepare.
No, but this is my point. Be normalized. Like if you're like trying so hard tomorrow, make sure you're trying with that same strength after tech this. You know what I mean? Like it's got to be. Yeah. We don't want to be like, oh my goodness, he just threw 80 feet further, doing nothing different.
Yeah.
So we'll have to average and all that. But that's tomorrow, guys. We got stuff going on. Exciting week, and we will talk to you all another time. Where's the outro music? I was out last week and forgot how to run the show.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to another awesome Monday night, episode 159, presented by Cosmic Disc Golf. Go check them out. And if you're down at USDGC, I said this earlier, but go check them out at Vendor Village Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Cosmic Disc Golf will be there. Shout out to Discology, Disc Golf Pins, Tech Disc. We're doing awesome collaborations with them, so we're super excited about that. Once again, thank you, everybody. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe on the video. Please like it. Please subscribe to the channel. Maybe when we hit another milestone, we'll do another really cool giveaway. So awesome show. I'm super pumped for USDGC this week. Go get your Disc Golf Network subscription if you do not have it already. Tell someone you love them this week. We'll see you in the next one.
That's right. I missed you guys last week. Ben, you're awesome. I think you tried to do this. You were like, how does it work? Ben, you're awesome. Evan, you're awesome. Nick, you're awesome. Peace out, everybody.
Peace.
Adios.
The Nick and Matt Show, a disc golf podcast designed for you, the disc golfer. Find the Nick and Matt Show on your favorite podcast platforms or join the conversation live on YouTube.